Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the League of Inches podcast. Normally, this is a bit of a preview into the week that is. We will do that still at the end. We'll do the best bets in our tips. But heads up straight away, this is a special episode where we are going to deep dive into every team so far. We're basically at the halfway point of the season. So we're going to look at every team. So make sure every team is covered. All your team that you support will be covered in this. We will let you know our thoughts on where things are at the moment. Your best player, a player that needs to improve, needs to lift for the end of the season. And if we think you're pretenders or contenders. So plenty to get through. It will be a little bit of a bigger one, but hopefully you stick around. Great content, great information there. It's been a massive season so far. There's been obviously a very different style of play that we've all seen, and we've all had our comments on that, and potentially the refereeing, officiating, and all that sort of thing. But it'd be great to focus in now on every single team, because I actually realized something tonight when I was watching NRL 360. There's a number of teams, I reckon, this year that have hardly been mentioned and have hardly had airtime. They're just going about whatever they're doing. They're very under the radar, whether for a good or a bad reason. But it'd be great to actually go into some detail about every team tonight. We'll spend like 5 or 10 minutes on each team, depending on how things are going. Thanks to Caxton Brewing Company as well, major sponsor of the podcast. Hambo, bring you in. So myself and Hambo for this one tonight. Skip, having a bit of a personal day off. So sending out nothing but love to you, Skip. We all know what it is for, so sending out nothing but love for you, brother. Hopefully you do listen to this and enjoy the next hour or two of this podcast. But how's things, Hambo? A big one coming up.
Hey, brother, what's going on? Yes, looking forward to it. It's almost a little bit sad, the fact that we're sort of halfway through the season already. It just goes so quickly, doesn't it? So bittersweet, but yeah, looking forward to it. I think there's certainly some interesting storylines starting to develop this season in terms of the way some teams are going, and even that top four's looking, that top eight's looking pretty interesting at the moment. So yeah, certainly not what I probably would have picked come sort of halfway through the year in terms of some of the teams in the eight and certainly some out, but I think that's the beauty of our great game, isn't it? So, yeah, mate, looking forward to having a good chat about them all tonight.
Yep, no, absolutely. And shout out firstly, I cannot believe I'm going to be doing this, and they don't need free advertisement, but here it is. Shout out to Telstra. Now, obviously, over the last week or so, I've had a bit of issues with my internet. What I've ended up realizing is my Wi-Fi booster had broken. Shout out to good old Telstra, though, who I called yesterday about the lunchtime-ish mark and just said, look, heads up, this is what I do and stuff. I need to, my internet's sort of been fading in and out, which is not great at all for all you guys listening. I need it fixed ASAP, please. They said, yep, no problem. We'll get it sent out to you. Now, in my head, I'm thinking, all right, getting sent out to me, I'll probably have to wait 3 to 5 business days. So I'll probably get it maybe early next week would be probably what I'm looking at. So no, it turned up at my door today. So I actually can't believe it. Shout out to you, Telstra. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And yeah, if you want to sponsor the podcast, just reach out. It'd be muchly appreciated. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I don't want to jinx myself. No dropouts tonight. It should be a good one, even though I'm testing that now because it's a longer one. So we'll see. Hopefully I don't get egg on my face. But let's get into it. Plenty to talk about. So let's get straight into it. Firstly, 17th place at the moment, sitting with that dreaded wooden spoon, is the St. George Illawarra Dragons. They've played 12. They're on 4 points thanks to one win. Finally got that on the weekend against the Broncos. A bye, 11 losses. They've scored only 172 points. They've conceded 393 and sit on a minus 221 points differential. Crazy season so far from the Dragons, Hampo. And I guess the big talking point with them at the moment is the coaching side of things is a huge one. They did sack Flanagan mid-season. I think it was after round 8. I think it may have been 9, around that sort of time. Now Dean Young's finally looking like he's starting to make some inroads with this playing group. It wasn't great to start with. Probably fair enough as well when you look back at things and just how bad things had become. He's got time now over a bye period to really get some things into play. Looks like a lot of this playing group is starting to buy in. But the big storyline so far is that coaching assignment. I guess coaching assignment in terms of who they pick, but also how it's unfolded so far.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. I think it's hard to sort of probably be find too many positives in the performances they put in so far this season. Obviously, great to see them get their first win on the weekend, which was a huge upset over the Bronx up at Suncorp. So, full credit to them. And as you said, I think they've certainly turned a corner a little bit since, I guess, that first game when Young took over. They're starting to look a little bit fitter out there. Obviously, Dean's starting to sort of run the squad that he likes a little bit more in terms of the forward pack, particularly. But yeah, I mean, considering he's sort of doing the best he can with the roster he's got, obviously they've signed huge for next year, Jolly, and that's not going to help him this year. But I do wonder if they're going to give him the opportunity next year. But, just focusing on, I guess, where they're at this year, look, I don't think anyone expected too much of them, did they, Jolly, coming into the year? I think they probably would have been tipped to be one of those sort of bottom teams, if you will. Maybe some of the diehards will scoff at me to even suggest that, but I think a lot of people probably more realistically sort of could see that they're going to have probably a pretty tough year. It's worst attack in the comp, up there as one of the worst defensive teams in the comp. But, they've still got a couple buys in hand, mate. They've still got, 2 of their buys in hand. So I guess for them, it'll be a bit of a challenge to try and not get that wooden spoon. I definitely think there's a couple of teams that they're a couple wins behind the Titans in 16th. But, it's possible. I think they're starting to look better and better each week. The draw for the run home, they've definitely got some more winnable games. So, I think it'll just be a matter of whether they keep improving. Dean Young's obviously going to do the best he can with what he's got, but it'll be a completely different looking squad next year. Like, they're probably the best signed team for 2027, right? So,
absolutely.
Yeah, mate. I think if you're a Dragons fan, you're more probably just looking forward to them using the rest of this year to blood some of these young fellas, as Dean Young is doing now. Particularly through the forward pack there. Obviously, young Cade Reid, once he's back, he'll probably start getting a run as well. And then, they're going to drop in some huge reinforcements next season. So, yeah, look, I think the challenge for them is try not come last if you can and use the rest of the games this year to blood these young blokes and start getting them a bit game ready for 2027.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the bright spark is obviously the young and exciting forward pack. They've been sensational. Let's not lie about it. It's even though, like we just said, 11 losses is not good, and I know the fans have been hurting. It's been a tough season. To think that the bright spark is something that looks so good for the future is a really good bright point for the Dragons and the Dragons fans to look at. No doubt that's been a focal point. Like you said, there's been some signs that will complement this as well moving forward. But for the rest of the year, I absolutely agree with you as well. I think one thing that definitely I look at and see is the fact that their halves have been very weak, and pretty much the spine actually has just not been really up to NRL standard for a lot of this year. It's about trying their best, because I actually think that the young forward pack, especially the last month or so, have really been carrying their weight. I think they've been setting a pretty decent foundation for a lot of those games so far. It's really that lack of spark, that lack of creativity and around that spine that's really hurting them at the moment. And I just hope for the run home, some of these key spine members like your Gutho at fullback, he's not quick enough anymore. And I'm feeling for him. I know Sloan's obviously clearly not in their plans moving forward, so probably reluctant to put him there for the rest of the year because they don't really get much out of it. But in my eyes, you want to avoid the wooden spoon. You've actually got a pretty decent potential to actually do that as well at the moment, because the Titans, which we'll get to, is only one win away from you. There's 4 points at the moment, but that's because they've had an extra bye. So things could change quickly for the Dragons. So I guess to round out the Dragon side of things, Hambo, when it comes to their side moving forward for the rest of the year, what would you do in some of those key positions? Because I think we've also seen the fact that Atkinson isn't a halfback. He's an out-and-out probably 5'8" for that side, I reckon, which probably means Kyle Flanagan is your organising player. I don't think he's the greatest halfback out there, but I think he can go about doing the job for what they've got, because Cade Reid, I don't think he's quite ready. I think we've seen that in the first couple of games he did get. I know that was it was just after everything had happened, so it was a bit of a mess, a bit of a shit situation for a kid to come into. Maybe you'd like to see him come into that after maybe the origin period and just get a few games under his belt again for into next year. But now with the Metcalf signing, that might change some of those forward planning decisions as well, because Cade Reid isn't necessarily at the forefront anymore when it comes to halfback for next year. He's probably going to be floating in that 6-man bench.
Yeah, it is interesting, and like you said, I guess Dean Young sort of got to deal with not having someone like Gutho at the back who's a little bit slower. Then it's going to be vastly different to having someone like Drinky, Lukey Met, Keon, Philip Sammy, Connor Watson. Like they're going to have a few pretty decent additions. So, look, mate, this year I guess you're just trying to do your best you can to probably more fight off the spoon. More than anything else, but at the same time, like I think he's doing the right thing with that forward pack. Like I think the forward pack he's sort of named this week is bar Keon obviously joining it is like pretty much as good as it gets for him. I think you got to continue with that, get some games under the belt for these young fellas. I guess it's a bit tricky, right? Because they're going to lose what? They're going to lose Cookie. They're going to lose. Oh, Gutho's not necessarily leaving yet, is he?
There is rumours around what they do with Gutho and Val Holmes, so we'll see what happens.
But you're certainly not bringing guys like Drinky and Luke Metcalf in to not, start in that team. So they're going to have a completely brand new looking spine between the 1, 7, and 9 with Cookie going, and then you're obviously going to have Drinky and Met come in. So, I mean, I don't know, is Cade Reed more of a 7 or is he more of a 6? I actually am not 100% sure on that. Do you start trying to blood Cade Reed at 6 a little bit more, or do you let Atkinson and Cade Reed duke it out? Because I still think Atkinson's got a little bit to offer there, but I don't know. The issue with Cade is he's so small, right? He's just going to get targeted every time he gets onto the park, and that's never going to change. It doesn't matter. You could, you wait 12 months, it doesn't change anything. Like he's not going to put on 20 kilos in a year or anything like that. So I don't know. I guess you're just going to try and figure out what you want best to complement Luke Matt and what I guess Drinky's play style, and figure out who fits into that 6 role the best. Maybe you could find a center spot for Atkinson. I don't know if you want Atkinson and Cade in the team. I guess there'll be a few things there. But I guess the other thing, mate, is whether or not Dean Young actually is the coach next year. I'd like to see it. I think he deserves it, but I don't know if they start getting romped to finish the year. There's every chance he's not even the coach. But so I guess it's a bit of a shootout. They also re-signed Flanagan for next year, which is extended him for a year. So I don't know if he plays 6 and Matt plays 7, but yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's end on the 3 questions we'll be going through for each team for the Dragons here. Which player has impressed the most? For me, I've gone Hamish Stewart. I think he's actually, even when they were getting smashed, he's doing some tough work in the middle, and now he's gone on to the edge for a number of weeks now and doing a remarkable job there as well. We talk about the exciting young forward pack. He's definitely one of them that they need to keep moving forward long term. And he's been, for mine, a shining light in a Dragon side that, let's be fair, has been pretty poor for majority of this year.
Yeah, good shout. I think you could pick any of those forwards, Jolly, and you're probably not going to be too far off the mark. I'm going to go Toby Couchman. I think it's hard to split even him and his brother, but Hamish Stewart, Dylan Egan, I know he's only just come back, but I guess, Toby, there's been a lot of pressure put on these young kids. They've come through and they've always had that expectation, but they've really just delivered in pretty trying circumstances in a team that struggled. They've really stood up. So I'm actually really looking forward to next year when they actually start to get some halves that are going to be able to take a bit of advantage of the platform they lay, and they could be a really exciting team.
Yep. Player that needs to improve for the remainder of the year. I've gone Val Holmes. He has started that on the week and actually thought it was probably his best game this year, which isn't hard to beat, to be fair. But I actually thought he really was, in a way, back to the Val Holmes of old with that performance on the weekend. I know it was only a once-off. There'll be a lot of fans going, we need a lot more from him, and I agree. That's why, for mine, he is the player that needs to improve the most in this Dragons side.
Yeah, fair call. And I'd probably just be looking at someone like Gutho. I know he's been injured, but same sort of thing. Senior player, they need some guys to step up to run him home now. And I know Gutho's battling his body majority of the time, and he's an absolute weapon. But they really need, if he's going to play fullback for the rest of the year, they need him to, go out in the blaze of glory and really just throw himself at everything. I know he always does, but it's such an important position, isn't it?
Yep, no, absolutely. And then the last one, so pretenders versus contenders. So what I'm sort of mean by that, guys, for this podcast is pretenders I want to class as just can't do anything. They're not going to make no chance of making the 8. Contenders I want to put as can make the 8, can have a fight for that top 8. And once you get in the top 8, I think for this year, especially with the way games are, I think anyone can sort of win the competition. So I'm going to class that as contenders in this series. So for mine, I think it's pretty clear. Dragons are pretenders.
Yeah, you're really going out on a limb there, Jolie. I don't know how you can make such brash calls, but I'll
go one more then.
in.
I'll say wooden spooners as well.
Yeah, look, there's a part of it really doesn't want him to get the spoon just because of the young fellas and the story that sort of happened. But yeah, pushing shit uphill big time. So they play the Titans on the run home. They got the Titans on the run home.
Eels as well.
They also play your blokes. So could be a spoon bowl in round 27. Who knows if we're lucky? But I think pretty easy to call them pretenders this year, brother.
16th are the Gold Coast Titans. They've played 11 games. They're sitting on 8 points because they've had 2 wins and 2 byes. They've had 9 losses in there. They've scored 192 points. They've conceded only 280. I say only because when you look at the bottom 8, the bottom 9 actually, they've conceded the less points. So that's actually something that must be a positive sign for Josh. I know that they're in the fight at times. Minus 88 points differential, which is the best in the bottom 4 as well. So at the moment, Handball, I think the storyline, and I'm actually glad I read those stats out because it sort of paints a bit of a picture, is the Titans reek of a side at the moment who is going through a fair bit in terms of got a brand new coach in Josh Hannay. He's establishing his style, his DNA. I think we can all safely say they are getting better as a football side. It did take a little bit to get going. They've had some great performances. They've also had some really poor performances where I remember coming on here and we've said a few times already this year that wasn't even first grade standard. But then you sit back and you take the emotion out of it of the game and you realize, hang on, they're actually literally 3 or 4 months into a rebuild essentially. There's still a number of things to change. There's a number of probably personnel that the coach wants out who he's stuck with for this year and maybe some of next year as well. So when you take all that into account, I actually think the Gold Coast Titans and their fans have some things to be pretty excited about. I think there's some definite things happening into the future for this year. I do think they can avoid the wooden spoon. Like you can see there, the defense for mine suggests the attitude is actually there. The attitude's turned around at this football club because that last year, they would have already conceded probably 400 points. Like they were just that side that went, I don't give a shit about defense. Let's just go out and score some points. The fact that we know they've got some pretty good superstars on that field who we can get into that shortly as well. I don't think many of them have actually fired yet. But the defensive attitude, that reeks to me of a club turning around its culture because everyone's been screaming it to the Gold Coast Titans to do that for some time. We got to the point where I think we all just said, you know what, it's not going to happen. That's just the Titans' DNA. But Hannay's doing something.
Nice, spot on, brother. And you know the other interesting thing about that points conceded, the 280 conceded so far, mate. They conceded 50 points in that first round against the Sharks. So if they've only conceded 230 points in the next 11 rounds of footy. Yeah, there was a buy in there, but it's not too bad. I mean, it's around 20 odd, just over 20 points a game.
Still good for them.
But that's really good for the Titans. So yeah, I think they've been just very hot and cold, haven't they, Jolly? They showed up in round 1 and got absolutely pizzled, as you said, but then they had a really good game against the Wars. They could have beat the Wars. They put 50 on your blokes, which neither here nor there. But they turned up and put on a bit of a performance. But then the week after that, they show up against the Raiders and just look like a completely different football team. So, yeah, I think there's a bit of inconsistency there for sure, mate. I think what's promising for the Titans is Hannay started to bring in some guys that are actually, I don't know, he just seems to be making some good decisions in terms of the squad. I think Ollie Pascoe now at hooker, young Zane Harrison at 7. Like, they're pretty important positions, right? He's now sort of laid a good foundation for him, I reckon, moving forward. He's found like a couple of these key guys. I think Jaden Campbell's best position is obviously 6. We agree on that. And obviously Kinney at 1. I think that's the spine. At the moment, that's their best spine. So that's really good signs for them and something they can sort of build on. And they're all really young. I think maybe mid-20s. Pascoe, I think, is 26 or something like that. So they're all like pretty reasonably young. You got a young, good spine there. I think that's it. So that's really good to see. Yeah, you got guys like Brimo, who it's hard to fit them in, but they're too good to not be in there somewhere. But, he's brought on guys like Arama Ho and Cooper Bai. He's brought some young guys through. So that's good to see. They're still very inconsistent, as you said, I guess, just trying to mix through that, work through that rebuild and establish some of those new standards or whatever it is that Hannay's sort of brought into the club, different play styles and whatever it might be. But, they're one of those teams this year. I think there's a few teams. You just don't know what you're going to get on the day. If they all turn up and play to the best of their ability, they're going to give you a run to their money. They're exciting. They've got the points in them, and that's just the Titans that we've always known. But you just don't know what you're going to get. So I think so far the signs will be good for them. Certainly, Hannay will be hoping they can keep away from that dreaded spoon, mate. We'll try and hope that defensively they can keep that up and hopefully start finding a few more points on the field. But some of the guys they shouldn't be struggling to score points either. So, yeah, look, I think they've definitely improved, and they'll continue to improve, and I don't think they'll get the spoon this year.
No, I don't think they will either. And I think, like you rightly point out, there's some really genuine good football players, young football players at this club at the moment who are getting a chance, who I reckon a lot of us didn't actually know anything about 12 months ago. And if Des Hasler probably still coached, we still probably wouldn't know about him. But I love what Hannah is starting to do there. I love the identity he's starting to bring to that football club, the confidence he's putting into some of these young players. Normally we've seen in the past when Titans have these debutants and stuff, you can just they just look so much like a fish out of water. They look so out of their depth, but these guys actually come in this year. Like Pascoe has genuinely made a difference to this football side. Like he looks like a dead set superstar in the making. He looks so good. I don't want to put pressure on him, but he looks amazing. Like you said, Harrison as well. We all know the raps on the kid. He's a freak. He's been a freak for a long time, but he's come in and look, he hasn't done much, but what I like about him, he's actually been quite mature with his approach where he hasn't tried to do too much. He's come in, he knows that he's probably in a struggling football side at the moment who haven't got quite a lot of things happening. Let's be honest as well, when it comes to this spine, the forward pack's been pretty horrendous in terms of, I think, the experience this year at the Titans. I'm talking your Tinos, your Fermors, your Mo Footawakers. I actually think they've been some of the worst sort of players in that team for like consistency-wise this year so far. They haven't quite lived up to their hype. So in a way, I think the experience is letting down some of these youngsters this year at the moment. And in the run home, I guess, or the second half of this season, I'm expecting to see the likes of Tino and Mo Footawaka, Bo Fermor to get to that next gear, kick back up to that representative level sort of forward that we know all three of them can be, because if they can, I can see the Titans being a real thorn in a lot of teams' side at the end, while the rest of this season carries on.
Yeah, for sure, man. I agree. I think they sort of lack a little bit off their bench as well to play a bit of a supporting act through the middle. And yeah, I think we were pretty critical on Tino early on, sort of wondering what was going on with his minutes. He was only sort of playing 40, 45 minutes, I think, to start the year. And we were sort of like, what's doing there? They've increased a little bit in the last month or so, and he's starting to look a little bit better. But agreed, guys like Bo Fermor and probably Mofo haven't been probably their best. But yeah, I think that's part of what Josh Hannay will do there is, I guess, bringing through guys like, we're seeing a fair bit of Curtis Moran, who I think is quite good off the bench. Chris Randall's playing a bit of a different role. Cleese Haas, he's doing the best he can with what he has, but they're certainly not, their squad overall, that top 30, certainly doesn't look as good as a few other clubs around the place. So, look, I guess we'll have to go a little bit easy on him for the next year or so while he does try and get some of these guys into the team that he wants and playing the footy they want to play. But, yeah, I'd have to agree with you there that through the middle is probably where they've been let down a little bit.
For the Gold Coast Titans, mate, who's the player that's impressed you the most?
Yeah, it's just looking at the list now. I mean, if it was a few weeks ago, I would have said Arama Ho for sure. He started absolutely awesome. He had a bit of issues with the whole getting hooked or whatever. Cooper Byers been good. I'm not doing very good here. I'm talking about everyone that's been probably pretty decent.
Just one.
Look, I'll go Ramaho. I think I won't be too critical of what's happened in the last few weeks in terms of him getting hooked and being benched and stuff. Mate, he has hit the ground absolutely running to start the year. If they can find whatever that was, that form for him that started the year for the rest of the year or throughout his career, he's going to be an absolute menace. They lost Fafita last year, even though he wasn't doing amazing, but he's just sort of hit the ground running in that spot, and I'm hoping he can find a bit of his form because, yeah, I love seeing a good rookie breakthrough, and yeah, he was awesome to start the year.
Yeah, for me, I know he hasn't played all the games this season, but I think since coming into the Gold Coast Titans side, he's made a huge difference. I'm so excited to see him continue to develop. It's Oliver Pascoe. I think he's been absolutely sensational. And in a crucial position, he's getting his hands on the ball more than anyone in that team. He's also very good defensively. He doesn't shy away from doing any of that tough stuff. So I've got to go Oliver Pascoe, the the player that needs to improve the most, Tampo.
Look, I'd probably call out someone like Jaden Campbell. You know, I know we've been critical of Tino and Mofo, but like, I just don't think he's been a huge factor at times. I know he's been injured and stuff like that, but like, if he can, whatever is, I don't know what the go is with him, but if he's flying, he's electric. So I just don't think we've seen the best of Jaden Campbell so far this year.
No, good shout there. I've actually gone AJ Brimson. I know he's out in the centres now. What I'm disappointed about the most with AJ Brimson, he doesn't seem to be going for the ball too much. I think even though he's at centre, I think he could still be very dangerous. Go in and look around the ruck. Go and get the ball. Go get the football. You're still one of the better players in this team at the moment, who, as we've seen, are struggling to score some points at the moment. He could definitely help that. I think he's had glimpses throughout the season so far where he has been quite good and dangerous. We just haven't seen it enough. So for them to win a few more games into the rest of this year, I think definitely AJ Brimson needs to start to improve. And no surprises, Hampo. I think you're going to be putting down the pretenders tag here.
Yeah, we're going out on a limb, aren't we? Look, it'd be an absolute miracle. And if they do get up, I would have wished I jumped on the tab because I'd be paying $1 billion to 1.
Yeah, thank you, Betr, by the way.
Yeah,
thank you
Betr,
very much. Sorry. That's pretenders for me as well, guys, for the Gold Coast Titans. Next up, can we just skip this team, please? No, it's the Parramatta Eels. Played 12 now. They're on 10 competition points. That's thanks to 4 wins, 1 bye, and 8 losses. They've scored 257 points, and they've conceded the most in the competition, actually. They're sitting on 407 points, minus 150 points differential. One thing we always talk about in rugby league, it's an old wives' tale, but I think it's very true. Defense is all about attitude, and you can tell by that stat alone that the attitude at the Eels, whether they've had some injuries or not, hasn't quite been anywhere where it should be. To be fair, it's been pretty shit house to be the worst defensive team in the competition so far. They've conceded 50. They almost conceded 50 twice. I think they've had 2 scores in the high-ish 40s as well. We've been lucky we haven't actually conceded it 3 times, to be fair with you. So the attitude hasn't been there enough. There's been 1 or 2 games recently, especially last week against the Knights, where you could definitely see the attitude was there, and that was a performance that they definitely could be proud of, but it hasn't been anywhere near enough, Hampo.
No, I'd agree with you, mate. And I'll preface it just by saying, because I'll stick the boot in early and then move on. If you concede 50 to the Titans, you should be booted from the comp. So I'm just going to put that out there for now. But look, seriously, again, you're just one of these teams. I just can't get a read on you. Like, it's hard for Aussie, right? He's been absolutely decimated by injuries. Not trying to excuse anything. All teams cop injuries and have to try and deal with that sort of stuff. But you guys have certainly copped your fair share this year of, I think, most of them off the back of illegal plays out on the field as well. Reading that what you will, and then didn't get any salary cap dispensation. But look, I think it's a tricky one for Aussie. Again, doing the best he can with what he has, but there's certainly been some games where they just haven't turned up. But then equally, there's been some games where they put in a performance, like you said, against the Knights on the weekend. You just beat the Cowboys the other week, and you just go like, where's this exciting team that can produce this sort of footy every other week? But you couple that with trying to do your best with what you've got in that squad. They don't have the prettiest forward pack on paper. I'm sorry, Jolly. I know there's some guys with some promise there for sure, but I'm sure you'll admit the same, that there's a number of guys there that wouldn't be starting in those positions had you had your full health, full top squad healthy. And then that rolls on to affect your bench as well, mate. But, there's still some shining lights there. Some good young blokes, some good young forwards getting blooded now. I just hope that Rousey can keep his hands on the team and got it, sort of set it up the way he wants to. I think they're showing some good signs, and I'm sure Rousey won't be happy with the defensive effort this year and what they've conceded, obviously being the worst in the comp so far. But again, it's been pretty hard. They're playing as an understrength footy team most weeks, and they've got a lot of inexperienced guys in pretty key positions as well. So it's tricky for them, Jolly.
Yeah, it is. Look, there's been some crucial injuries as well. Like most recently now is Mitchell Moses, which definitely does hurt. But to be fair, I don't think Mitchell Moses has been that great this year. I don't think it's been one of his better years to date. That's for sure. Um, Forward pack, like you rightly said, has not been up to par. Even when we've been, you can say, so-called full strength or close to it. I don't think there's been games where we've actually. I think there's been games where we've been just completely blown out of the water. We're not matching teams, and that's really disappointing. And you look at things like the recruitment for this year, I think so far, and everyone has pointed out, has been diabolical. Like Pezzett doesn't even make the team anymore. Yes, he's been injured, but I just think that was a stupid signing. He's there at the Broncos next year. Riles was so big last year and dropped Dylan Brown to plan for the future once he signed with the Knights, and he's just sort of gone back on his word for that signing. Jack DeBellin's done Jack DeBellin this year. I just don't think there's much positive to say about that signing. Brian Kelly, he's going about his work. He'll have the odd game where you're like, oh yeah, he's a decent footballer, but he did that at the Titans now for what 4, 5, 6 years, and that's just what you're going to get from Brian Kelly. I don't think that's a signing that, especially replacing both Dylan Brown and Zach Lomax, that you sit back and go, yep, no, we covered those losses. Well done to us. We clearly didn't. They were happy to let Dylan Brown go as well. They wouldn't match the extra 100K or whatever that he wanted. They let Zach Lomax go, and they stood tall on their moral high ground, which credit to them. I was all for that when it all happened, but we just never replaced him. And there's been players come up that apparently clubs were happy to let them go, which I thought would have improved this side straight away, and they haven't gone after for whatever reason. But things aren't looking great. There is a couple of bright sparks. Like if Iongi can get fit again, he's back this week, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Iongi play. I think we've missed him. I think he's developed into very quickly one of the better half of top 10, top sort of 12 fullbacks in this competition already when he's fit. So he's definitely hurt. 5'8's the hard thing. I don't know what they do with the 5'8 position at the moment. It's just a bit all over the shop. Yeah, a lot more question marks than I would have liked at the moment. Riles has also had the extra 12 months compared to the likes of Josh Hanna, who we just spoke about. So he has a bit more time to work this in. And you'd have to say, like, DNA and culture-wise and things like that, I just don't know if it's quite where it should be by now. And I don't know how many more players he has to get rid of, but it feels like there still needs to be a fairly decent cleanup to happen at the club. So interesting times ahead. One thing I know for sure, and hopefully by the season review one we do at the end of the year, we can talk positively about this, but the recruitment over the next 12 to 18 months is absolutely crucial. I'd actually go as far as saying the next 2 months, landing a couple of big fish to drastically improve this side is absolutely critical.
Yeah, and just on recruitment, mate, and I don't want to go back too far, but it's probably the most concerning thing for you, isn't it? When you think about, I guess, that whole Dylan Brown saga, and you'd know more about the detail of that than I would, and I don't want to get into the detail of it, but you just sort of look at the kind of players that, I don't know if let go is the right word, but, you know, knowing Dill Brown was on the way out, as they would have, to then also let guys like Ethan Sanders, Blaze Talangi, you know, go as well around a similar time, and then to now be in the situation that they're in, with particularly with the number 6 jersey. I think Galvin was possibly an option at one point too. I know a lot of water under the bridge since a lot of that stuff's happened, but I guess that's the concerning thing, is that recruitment's just seems a bit all over the shop. Like you said, signing guys like Jack DeBellin, and I know Sewell will be good next year, but again, he's probably getting to that older age of his career, isn't he? But I would agree with you, mate. I think it's really important they probably give Mitch Moses a bit of help. I don't know if Lorenzo's the guy or Joe Ash is the guy that should play 6. I certainly, you know, Yongi and Moses obviously be the 1-7. I really like the Silver and Riley Smith as well. So, yeah, I think if you can figure out what they want to do with that 6 jersey, that'll be interesting. But that Pezzett signing was an absolute debacle. Like, what they were thinking there, I'm not sure. So, I don't know. Last year, I felt like you guys turned a bit of a corner towards the back end of last year, Joey. Like, he's defended a bit better. He's playing a bit better footy. And I sort of thought he'd hit the ground running this year a bit more. And we haven't really seen that. So I don't really know what to put that down to, whether it's, you know, like you said, the defensive side of things is all about attitude and effort. But they've seemed to lost a bit of that. So when you talk about identity and culture, it is a bit of a concern. Like you said, I guess you probably would have liked to see them keep improving. But in the same breath, you take 3 or 4 or 5, experienced NRL players out of the squad, and it does start to test you. So, yeah, like I don't know who they might be looking at or who's going to become available, mate, but they certainly need to pick up another 1 or 2 sort of experienced guys, I think, if they want to try and turn the corner sooner rather than later.
Yeah, no, absolutely spot on. Let's go to the player that impressed the most so far this year. And it's been this one, I actually found this quite tough, considering a lot of players have been out for a certain period of time. I think the club's been pretty poor. The performance has been pretty poor all around. But I actually went Dylan Walker. I think every time he gets onto the field, we can see a significant change with how the team is playing. There's been some times now where he's actually got to start. I still think he's better off the bench and providing that impact for that 50, 60-minute period that he's on. But I think, Dylan Walker's probably impressed me the most this year, Hampo.
Yeah, good shout, mate. Oh, geez, I should have done some pre-planning, haven't I? Who have I liked? I've really liked Volkman. I know he hasn't always been there and he's not probably the guy, but I think he's been brilliant at times this year when I've watched him. I think he's a little bit underrated and he's created a few things for you when I've watched his. So, yeah, if I'm going off the top, I reckon I just like Volkman when I've seen him. I know he's not going to always be the 7 and he's played 6 and stuff like that, but I really like what I've seen from Volkman.
Good shout, mate. Good shout. A player that needs to improve. Might shock a few people I've mentioned this, but I actually think it's Mitchell Moses. I actually don't think he's had a good year really at all. Plenty in his game that he's not quite doing. I think has been playing injured for a lot of this year, being behind a beaten forward pack. I get all that sort of stuff. There's been plenty, I think more so than ever, a lot of kicks out on the full and things like that as well with his game this year, which normally his strength is his kicking game. He's got a remarkable kicking game. A lot of the time it is on, but there's been a number of times, more times this year than I've seen before, where there has been some poor kick choices. There's been out on the falls. And I just think for Parramatta to continue to improve this year and to get something out of this year, they definitely need Mitchell Moses to start improving. So, yeah, I've got Mitch Moses, Hampo.
Yeah, that's a fair call. I probably would have said similar myself. Oh, geez. I'd probably say DeBellum, but he probably doesn't even really get picked usually now, so I can't probably pick on him. I don't know if this is out of line, mate, but maybe Jack Williams. I just feel like there's been games I've watched where he hasn't done probably what they've needed him to do, or he's had a few errors in his game. I know he's hard as nails, will tackle anything that moves and truck it up at any point, but I think he was awesome last year. I think he really stepped up, particularly at the back end of last year, and was one of your better players. And I reckon he's got another level he can go to. And I just haven't seen it from him this year. But I don't know. A lot of
key errors at key times. That's been a big thing for. He's tried his ass off. Don't get me wrong, and he was fantastic on the weekend again. And he's unfortunately probably a victim of how utilised he can be. He's been in and around middle edges, but it has been the errors at some really crucial times in games that's really hurt him, I think.
And I guess maybe I'm holding the bar too high for him because I know what he is capable of, and he's probably still been pretty solid plodding away, but I've got to pick on someone.
And once again, I think we're both going pretenders. Parramatta can't do anything in this year's competition.
Geez, can we snip that up and get a recording of that, and I'll put it as my message tone?
Thanks, mate. Anyway, let's move on. I'm happy to move on now. The Bulldogs, 14th at the moment. They've played 12 games, sitting on 10 competition points as well. 4 wins, 8 losses, 1 bye, 219 points for, 318 against, minus 99 is their points differential. The Bulldogs, things are not looking good, mate. It's been an absolute mess this year so far. A lot of overcoaching, a lot of arrogance, I think, a lot of stubbornness as well. Some words that pop to mind. Players who should be dropped, not getting dropped throughout this year so far. Then vice versa. There's been a couple of injuries, but I don't think anywhere near as badly as a lot of teams in this competition. Not an excuse anyway to use. I spotted Serrato start to really bring up the refs a lot more in presses and stuff and not take accountability of his own issues and his own mess that he's sort of created with some of his selections and non-selections. What are your thoughts on the Bulldogs at the moment this year?
Mate, I think would it be fair to use the term basket case? Like, I must admit, I generally don't really understand a lot of the off-field politics of like coaching issues and boards and all that sort of, back office type stuff. But I don't think I've ever seen a coach blow my mind as much as what Cameron Ciraldo has this year. I don't even know how they've won 4 games. I know they won that game in Vegas. They obviously beat the Panthers, but they have been so bad.
And they shouldn't have won that Dragons game in Vegas. They shouldn't have won that. So
yeah, I agree. So I think certainly since at least Carraz has been fullback the last couple of weeks, they've been better. But prior to that, they have been an absolute stinker to watch. But it's been disappointing. I mean, they've been building really well the last few years, haven't they? They've sort of, and it's obviously coincided with all the Lockie Galvin stuff last year where, Sexton was flying, they were humming on top of the comp. For whatever reason, they go after Galvin, get him, immediately, and they've just never gotten back fallen off that cliff since, have they? So, I don't know if the play style of this year's sort of catching up with them or, I've heard a bit of chat previously around the systems they'd have defensively and whatnot were good when the game was a bit slower, but now that it's that little bit quicker, it's not as effective, and I guess we're possibly seeing a little bit of that. But, the back of them, they were a successful team last year off the back of their defense, and they've just completely lost that identity. And, you can talk about attitude and effort and all that sort of thing, but they just are chalk and cheese defensively. They're just, they're not even... You don't think about them as a strong defensive team anymore, do you? So
no. And this time last year, they were the family club. You could see how together the whole club was. The fans, the admin, the staff, the players, everyone was all together. There was such a tight bond, and you literally hated seeing on your upcoming draw that you had the Bulldogs because you knew, all right, we're probably going to score about 8 points here, and they're going to win this game 10 points to 8. And this is what I know the rules have changed and whatnot, but there's still, I think, areas to the game where that can still happen and you can still defend very well. But this year, it just looks like a Bulldogs side that's not on the same page. Like on the field, you can see, and it happened on the weekend as well, where even Crichton and Galvin, they just don't seem to be getting on. They seems to be butting heads over little things on the field and no trust there. Where last year, if that happened, if that was Sexton or someone saying to Crichton challenge and things like that, it would have been done straight away. It would have been like, yeah, bro, I trust you. Let's get that done. Challenge ref. It just seems like everything's questioned at the Bulldogs at the moment, no matter what it is, and it's overthought, and they're looking like an overthought football team at the moment on the field. They can't attack still. How long have we been talking about the Bulldogs attack? I feel like now, 12 months? It hasn't improved yet. And all that's happened so far to the Bulldogs, it feels like this year, they've gone backwards quickly. And you see Gus talk about him, you see Ciraldo impresses, and that they're still trying, they're still positive. They're still trying to have fans believe, but let's call a spade here. I know this sounds quite negative, but I think from a team last year who had such high hopes coming into this year with how things ended last year and how they were going, to have a team that many predicted to be a top 4, almost certainty this year, to be now a bottom 4 team, and it looks like they could well and truly finish in the bottom 4, and there's no real answers getting told by the club, and they're in denial about a lot of things. Mate, it's been a pathetic start to the year. This has probably been the worst performance we can see out of all these teams so far, and that's including someone like the Dragons who have only won 1 game. You can see some reasons and validate why the Dragons have been so poor. For the Dogs, it's like you've done it to yourselves.
Right, they finished 3rd last year, so to now be sitting 3rd last or 4th last or whatever it is, they've almost conceded. They only conceded 414 points last year. They're only 100 points. We're halfway through the season. They've almost nearly got to that. They'll be probably at that in the next month. So, and they aren't scoring points now as well. So last year, whilst they might not necessarily needed to have scored as many points, is because they were so good defensively. But now they're poor defensively and they don't look like scoring. I don't know what it is that just. Honestly, I know Lockie Galvin cops a lot of criticism, but to me, every time I watch the Bulldogs play, that kid puts in 110%.
It's not Galvin. It's
110%. If every player in that team played with the effort that Galvin played with, I don't think they'd be in the situation they're in. So, I think it's tricky for them, Jolie. They've got...
my keep going. You can hear me, can't you?
Yeah, I can hear you. Shout out Telstra.
No, it's not Telstra. I bumped my my camera on the...
You know what they call it? Picnic, problem in chair, not in computer.
Oh, wait, that's the wrong one. That's all right. Here you go.
But yeah, look, mate, I just think they've been so bad, like attacking wise. Like I know defense is what you lay everything off, and you get your defense right, and everything sort of comes off the back of that. But they've just, and it's just Serraldo's stubbornness to make a change that's starting to frustrate me. Like it's something that wouldn't normally frustrate. Like, mate, just do something else. Just try something else and see how it goes. And he's been forced to make a change by Tracy going down. Krause goes to fullback. And lo and behold, they've looked 10 times better. They haven't looked like the same team, but just that one change of Krause back there in the last 2 weeks, and they've won a game and then almost beat the Tigers. So, yeah, I don't know. I can't see where they change. The guys like really Kicks haven't been great this year. I know he's injured long term. He'll be back soon, but Burton seems to be trying a bit harder in the last month or so, but I'm not seeing it. The team on paper doesn't look too flash either. Like, yeah, you look at some of the guys there. I think the bench probably struggles a little bit as well, mate. Like, they really lose a lot of class once they start looking at their bench. But I don't know. Maxi King's, I guess, pretty solid. Leo's been a bit hit and miss so far, I reckon. That Jack Underhill looks Aiden Tolman, James Graham Lovechild. Get him on the field more often than not because he just looks awesome, doesn't he? But, you know, they're playing guys. I don't even know who some of these guys are that they're running out most weeks off the bench. So it's tricky, but at what point does the noise for Ciro get louder, mate? Like they were third last year and they're now looking at like a bottom 4 team. How do you quantify that and how long do they let that go on for?
They're a noisy fan base. I don't think it'll be that long. Honestly, if they continue where they got looking at the moment, they finished bottom 4 this year. I can see some noise starting to get made in the off season, and then all it will take is a poor opening 6 weeks or so for next year. And I can definitely see some things happening. I know there'll be comments now coming in going, "Oh, he's just signed a big deal," blah blah blah. Like all the media have already said, there's clauses in that. That doesn't mean anything in this day and age. Clubs will pay out coaches. It is whatever it is. I just want to touch on what you mentioned about Lockie Galvin, and I actually just feel so sorry for the kid because I agree with you. And the question coming up about who's been the best sort of player at the Dogs so far, he almost got mine because I actually think he's trying his ass off. I actually think he has been pretty good this year at the Boys, in a side that's struggling, in a side that's not going forward, who's getting let down by their middles who are just non-existent at the moment. Their lock is an issue. Their hooker is an issue. There is so many issues at this club. The fullback's an issue. He has stood up every week and tried his ass off. And the thing I keep trying to tell fans who are trying to use him as a scapegoat, he is playing to his strength, which is being a 5'8". The Bulldogs knew this when they signed him. They've now taken over 12 months to try and transform this guy into a halfback, which is clearly not happening. Why, firstly, did they rush him into the side to start with? Why didn't they give him a good patch of, say, 6 weeks in New South Wales Cup last year when things were going well still? They had Sexton at the club. They had Marnie there. Everything was going well. They were the Dogs of War. Just let this guy come into things, learn the systems without the pressure, without the noise. They completely destroyed the kid from the outset of this all. I reckon if Galvin had his time again, he probably would have signed with Apparel because he would have played alongside Moses, granted for probably a handful of games each year, but hey, it would have been better than nothing. He would have got to play 5'8". The thing I just don't get with the Dogs is they've now mentioned about 2 or 3 times publicly that the future is Galvin at 5'8". That's the future of what's going to happen there. Get it, just do it. Put the kid back to where he feels naturally the best, where he's basically playing at the moment. And whatever dominoes fall, say, with Burton, if that means he leaves, then get it done and deal with it. You're not going to achieve anything this year if you just keep putting it off. You get to the off season, you then make changes, and then the noise starts to happen again. And then all of a sudden, you've destroyed next year's chances also. Because I know it hasn't helped with the young kid not coming in and not being fit at the moment, their halfback, but you can still make the changes and stuff. You can still have someone like Sean Sullivan. Yep, doesn't set the world on fire, but guess what? Neither did Sexton last year. The Dog system, when it's at their best, requires one of those no-nonsense halfbacks that just goes about his job, because if he can do that, you'll have someone like Galvin in the 6 who can just go about his work, and he's one of the best 5'8s in the competition when he gets to play there. We've seen that already, how good he can be. Stop using the kid as a scapegoat, please, and just let him play some football. That's all I ask of the Bulldogs. I won't go any further. Done too much.
No, I agree. I hope he's got some good people around him, old Lockie
No, I just
Galvin,
feel for
because
him.
he's got to be a resilient young fella. But yeah, I hate seeing the criticism that he cops. But all those what do you call them, armchair supporters or whatever, they're just quick to attack him every time something doesn't go right. It's certainly not him.
No, not at all.
Wake up to yourselves.
The player that's impressed you from the Bulldogs, mate.
Oh, look, we've talked about him. I think it's hard for me to go past Lockie Galvin. I just think in that team, he's been a shining light every week. Burton's been better, I think, in the last few weeks, especially. But for me, it's Lockie Galvin.
I've gone Jacob Preston. I know he's had a pretty slow last month or so, thanks to his body falling apart. But before that, he almost looked like a must-have, must-pick for the Blues. He was sensational, working very well alongside Lockie Galvin. For mine, he just edged Lockie Galvin in that category there when I was making my picks. Player that needs to improve the most in this lineup, Hampo.
Oh, there's probably a couple of them. Yeah.
The coach?
I mean, I would have probably said Connor Tracy if he was still named at 1, or, Bailey Hayward at 9, but he's actually made a few changes as well in those positions, so it probably speaks for itself. Look, if Connor Tracy's going to be the one, it certainly has to be Connor Tracy. I guess just at the moment with him being injured, I'm not sure what his plan will be once Tracy's fit and back again, but if moving forward, Serrato's going to persist with Connor Tracy on, he's got to improve. It's such an important position, and he's just not offering anything for them to this point. He's meant to be there because he's a great defensive fullback, and that's been myth busted this year. He's been terrible defensively at times, so it's him for me.
I've gone Leo Thompson. I actually think he's been pretty poor so far this year. I know he's been injured to start the year. Probably didn't help and didn't get the kilometres under his legs, but I think he was a key signing. He's on about, $850K at the Bulldogs. Their big fix-it problem in the middle, which has been there from last year. And like I said earlier, I don't think much has been fixed with their middle. If not, it's getting worse. So I definitely think he needs to improve a lot towards the back end of the year to help the Bulldogs save their season. I just also think from his point of view, he can be much better. I think he'd put his hand up and admit to that as well. For the Bulldogs, pretenders or contenders?
Pretenders. There's not a chance they're doing shit this year.
I'm with you, mate. Pretenders for sure. Next up, a team that's starting to make a little bit of a climb and has probably some teams and some clubs looking over their shoulders with those big eyes. That you can insert that meme right now. But the Melbourne Storm, 13th. They've played 13 games. They're one of only 2 teams at the moment, which this is a bugbear of mine. I'll get into it shortly, that haven't had a bye yet. And we've got teams here that have had 2 byes already. Make it make sense. Like, I'll just go on the fucking rant now. How does that make any sense? We're now at round 14 of this competition. We've had, I just want to quickly count. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams have had 2 byes. 6. And we've still got 2 teams that haven't had a bye yet. NRL, you're off your fucking head. You are off your head. Honestly, how does it make sense? How can we look at the draw, say it's done as fairly as possible? We've now gone 14 weeks in our physical competition. And trust me, guys, I don't like the Storm. Couldn't give a shit about him, but this is totally unfair.
Mate, and then you got some teams playing the same team twice in the first 6 to 8 weeks, and and then you've got other teams, certain teams, which I won't say that their names, but they're up in Brisbane that seem to get, they don't leave Brisbane for months at a time. Like, look at Brisbane's last run home from now. It's a disgrace. They barely leave Brisbane. I don't get it. They're going to have 2 more teams in the comp over the next couple of years. They've got to fix something. If nothing else, you should be playing everyone the same amount of times over 1 or 2 seasons. You know what I mean? Like, maybe if you play 1 team or 2 teams twice in a certain season, and the next year you don't. But I guess when it's all about business and ratings and putting the best games on at certain times against certain teams, I understand that part of it, but it's pretty shit. I think they could cut it back once they get a couple teams in, but it'd be nice to just play everyone once, and then could you have a 19-game season and then it's finals? I don't know. Anyway,
I just don't get, like, even last week, one of the major first bye rounds, why wouldn't you just shuffle around the draw just so that the Cowboys and the Storm could have had their first bye? That would have made sense. Like, get them both done. Like, now that's literally, like I said, 6 teams have had 2 byes and they're both sitting there not having a bye yet. Just doesn't make any sense at all. They've won 5 games. They've lost 8. A lot of that at the start of the year was horrendous. They've points for is 314 against 318. -4 is their points differential. For the Storm, mate, it's been an interesting start to the year. Obviously, a lot's happened. They were chasing Zach Lomax when he was in a contract and stuff, chasing him very hard, went to court, all that sort of thing. It was a weird start to the year. The Eli Katoa situation, unfortunately. The Tui Kamika situation, unfortunately. The Craig Bellamy situation, unfortunately. They've had some injuries. It's been a bit of a shit show for the Melbourne Storm to start this season, and you could forgive them for the start that they had. I don't think many people were that surprised by the fact that they were not winning football games. It was more so how they were losing football games to me that grabbed my attention, because we've seen the Storm be ripped apart before. We've seen them probably lose more high-profile players and come back and just act like the Storm of old. But it was like the Storm identity wasn't there for the first 6 to 8 weeks almost. It was just if you put, sorry to this team, but if you put Titans jerseys on him, you would have been like, yep, this makes sense. Like, yep, okay, sweet. That's obviously the Titans out there. But it was the Melbourne Storm, mate. It's been a weird start to the year. They are starting to win a few more games now. They're getting on the front foot with things, which, like I said, has a number of teams probably going, uh-oh, someone's working up the beast. Thanks to versing a couple of pretty shitty teams over a few weeks there. What are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Like, I think last week was probably their first good win. I mean, they beat the Tigers a few weeks ago with no one. They lost to the Dogs a couple of weeks before that because they had players missing.
Beat the Eels.
Then, they beat the Eels, but then they had been beaten by the Finns a few weeks prior to that. So, look, it's more sort of what do you get out of their recent form, and I think they're definitely looking a lot better, but I'm still not sure. And they're very going to be like Cam Munster just looks like he's, the Cam Munster of a few years ago. Or, just the Cam Munster we're used to seeing in the last few weeks as well. And I don't know, he makes a huge difference when he's playing well. That whole team plays a little bit better. But yeah, I don't know. I still struggle to get a bit of a read on him. I can certainly see him going on a bit of a run to finals now, and certainly there's every chance I'll make the finals. But there's still some huge question marks over the squad in general, mate. There's not a whole heap of depth there. That's already been tested, obviously, with the running through those injuries that you run through. But, I just don't know if with the squad they've got, they're going to be able to sort of they're going to have to keep winning a lot of games now. Like, they don't really have much room to lose games because of where they currently are, and they're still going to have to juggle through this Origin period now and probably be trying to get Munster and Harry to back up when they maybe not always should be backing up potentially, which will be interesting. They really do need those two blokes back in the team every week if they're going to, keep winning some footy games and make a big run to finals. But, yeah, I don't know. I think, as I said, last week was probably the best performance of the season for them, holding the Chooks to, only 4 points, who've been, they're a top 4 side at the moment. So, that was promising from them. But, yeah, it'll be another interesting game this weekend. We'll find out a bit more about how they go against us, which, we certainly aren't proven contender or anything like that. But we've certainly been a better footy team this year. But even, it just goes to show last week against the Eels, we weren't great. So, look, this will be an interesting game, and it will tell me probably a fair bit about where the Storm are at. Because I still struggle to get a read on them. With that spine that they have, they should be awesome. You can put me and you in the front row and they could be able to play off the back of that. But they haven't really done that. Stefano's looking a lot better as well, mate. But there's still some names in that list that I'm not convinced with at all.
No, you're right. And look, I don't question that the Melbourne Storm could make the 8. What I do question, though, is that they need to go on an almighty run. Don't make any mistakes. They've started it, but they need to keep it going now, almost until the end of the year. And we've seen last year how that affected Penrith, and they did a remarkable job to get where they were. We've seen the Broncos go on and run and win the premiership. They went unbeaten for, almost 10 weeks or something, whatever it was. The Storm, though, the worry for mine is I don't doubt that big 4 can do it. Their spine can do it. But the worry is if 1 or 2 of them get injured in this run, they're just done. Then that's for mine. That their depth is just not there this year, and they need all those to be there and be fit and be there almost every week that they're playing a game, even backing up from Origin, like you said. And I just don't think these players can do it. Unfortunately, I just don't think their bodies can all hold out. I think when you get to that point where you're holding your breath almost every week, you're getting yourself into some dangerous territory. And I just think the Storm are there now. And it's unfortunate because it's been an emotional start to the year for sure. The players that we just mentioned, the talk and the murmurs around at the moment, this could well and truly be Bellamy's last year. No doubt is a very emotional for that club and the players. And there's probably players who re-signed only recently or the last 6 or 12 months who did so because Bellamy would be there for the long term. He just committed to the club for long term as well. So that's a shake-up. When he's basically a father figure to so many of those players, that can hurt. That can affect you a lot. So it looks like they played off a lot. There were a very emotional side there for a little bit of time. Now it seems like they've all sort of got together. They're going, let's do this for bellyache. And I just don't know if that emotion and being up for this long now, like what are we, round 14 this week, and we go to around 27 plus finals. There's a hell of a lot of football to go, and I don't think they can do it.
Yeah, and I mean, you just look at I don't think statistically we've got more errors than this time last year, even though it might seem like with the game getting quicker and people trying to suggest there's more injuries because there's more fatigue and all that. So I don't think it's too dissimilar at this point of the year, but it feels like it is. So, injuries will always play their part, where they made, and, they don't have the luxury now to lose the odd game here or there. Like you said, they've started poorly, so now they're sort of under pressure to keep playing well. And in those games where they are behind or they need to produce something, it just puts them under a little bit more pressure that they know that, their season's effectively on the line. So, look, it's obviously pretty sad what's happened with Bellyache, mate. He's, you hear guys like Billy Slater, Cameron Smith, Cooper Cronk talk, and they talk about Bellamy being the biggest influence on their rugby league career, and they're three of the, arguably the best players that ever played the game. So, that's going to be huge for them. There'll be a huge culture shift next year, assuming he isn't the coach. I can only assume there's not a chance he's coaching next year. But I just don't know if that's enough to get him up every week this year for the rest of this year, as you say. And I don't doubt that they could go on a finals run with the spine they have. As you said, it's the classiest spine in the comp, 1679 in the comp. But it'll be a huge lift, and then that's just to get there, and then they're going to have to lift again to be sort of any threat in finals. And I just don't see them doing it this year.
They make the finals, there'll be a lot of teams absolutely shitting himself. I'll tell you that right now. Player that impressed from the Storm so far this year, I've gone, when you're replacing someone like Ryan Pappenhausen, that is a daunting task. The fact that I never once doubted this guy, knowing how talented he is and how much of a freak he is, Sua Falongo, honestly, you are remarkable. You are such a talent. He is just every week, like I came into this season expecting this and expecting him just to hit off and working so well with this spine, but just the levels he's getting to. And the thing that gets to me is I still think there's more in his game this year that he can get to, and I don't think he's quite reached his full potential. But man, I'm so impressed with him at the moment. I think he's impressed me the most out of all the Storm players, and very keen to see the back end of his year, knowing full well that the Melbourne wanting to keep winning, and he's definitely probably their biggest attacking threat as well, the most dangerous player. There's been moments in games so far where he's looked at his opposition and he's like, all right, I'm going to score this try right now. And he's like 20 out and he's got 2 or 3 defenders in front of him and he scores it. It's just, he's a freak, and I cannot wait to see him over the next few years develop into the player that I'm imagining him to turn into. And man, it's got to the point where anytime a Storm game's on, and I hate to admit it, I'm there watching it because of this guy.
No, I liked how you jumped in there because I was definitely going to say Sua as well. But mate, the thing is
like, you can say the same.
I'll be saying this. Like, what, he ran for over 300 meters on the weekend, but like, I never like to sort of pick someone out because of their size, but it's obvious when you have a smaller guy like a Jai Gray or a Sua. But these guys, and Sua and Jai Gray in particular, they just put their body on the line. Like the impact and the sort of speed at which Sua will do everything is crazy. And he's not a big lad, but he just goes into everything, a full ball. He's at full effort. Like, if there's a loose ball on the ground, it happened a couple of times, I think, on the weekend. There was a loose ball. He plays the ball. He doesn't, he plays the whistle. He'll pick the ball up and run if he thinks it's play on. And I think that's what you want. He's only, 23-ish, I think, similar age to sort of Reece Walsh, but he would have played far less NRL games than Reece Walsh. So, to think this kid's probably played, I don't know, 20 to 30 NRL games probably now, somewhere around that off the top of my head. And he looks like a established veteran first. Like, he was immense on the weekend against Chook. So yeah, I think the sky's the limit. I think he's a Victorian product as well, so Queensland shouldn't claim him, which is promising for someone from the Melbourne team. But mate, he's been an absolute phenomenon for them and a real shining light. I would totally agree.
Absolutely. Player that I think needs to improve. Be hard for him. He has picked up a bit of an injury, but I think Nick Meaney. I just think I haven't really been impressed with him this year. There's probably been a number of players who have been very down in form, but for mine, he has been pretty poor or really poor defensively. He hasn't really offered much in attack at all. It's been a very meh season from Nick Meaney, and unfortunately, it is off the back of him signing a new deal with the Perth Bears, and I've seen a number of Storm fans have messaged me in that they've questioned, is he already looking ahead to a big chapter and a big challenge ahead of those boys? Not sure, but at the moment, his form and how he's played this year, it's hard to defend that sort of accusation, I guess. But yeah, for me, Nick Meaney.
Yep, fair, mate. There's a few that up until probably the last couple of weeks I would have picked out, but maybe given that Harry and Cam have sort of turned a bit of a corner, I'm going to probably pick on Trent Liero. I think, he should probably start to emerge as a bit of a leader in that team. And I think, again, he's probably been better in the last month, but, it cost them at that grand final. He got sin-binned as well. Like, probably owes them a bit, and they need him to step up. They need someone like that to really stand up in the middle to try and make a bit of a difference for them, I reckon, if they're going to be any threat for the year to run home.
For mine as well, I can't back him in doing what they need to do to get to the final. So I've just got to say the Storm are pretenders for this year. Yourself?
If contenders is just to at least make the finals, I'll put him as a contender, but I can't see him win it from the bottom half of the 8.
Yeah, that's all right, mate. That's the first time we've differed in, so I was expecting that to happen, actually. 12th place. Before going to that, shout out firstly, this little part can be sponsored by League of Inches Raffles. So we've brought out a Raffles page now, guys. So the plan with this moving forward, it's a free Facebook group. So go type in LOI Raffles. You'll see there, request to join, and I'll approve it in, where I've always wanted to do this, bit of a dream of mine. You see a lot of big places out there doing similar with different groceries and stuff like that. I want to do it from a rugby league point of view, where get all the memorabilia, merch, stuff like that. And unfortunately, this day and age, people just can't afford it. If I can put some stuff together, have a big enough group where we're all in there, and you get tickets. Some can be like, there's some things in there now. It's $2.50 per ticket. There's some items in there where it's $5 per ticket. I won't ever go above probably $10, depending on what it is. So everything will be affordable. Get as many as you want. Just giving people an avenue and an opportunity to get their hands on some of this elite memorabilia that you might not be able to because of financial reasons or whatever it is, or you just want to be part of it. You're feeling pretty lucky. You want to go in there, get some tickets. So a couple of really cool little pieces at the moment, a couple of really flashy cards with the big trading cards at the moment that they're going off. So a couple of limited edition ones, I guess, numbered, things like that. So starting small, like I said, we'll start to build up the community over the next week or two. I'm hoping to really jam things up so we can do a State of Origin one for Game 2. That's the plan. So if you are interested, I know we first did this when the page started up. We had a few followers, but it was like a bidding sort of thing, and that went off actually quite well. So similar to this, just make it a little bit bigger and better. And the last one I want to mention on this, anyone in the Legends group who does join this and buys tickets, everything will be doubled. So it does pay to be part of our Legends group on Facebook, and then also be part of LOI Raffles. So go ahead, type it in Facebook. Free to enter. Love to see you there. And more people that are in there and support it, the bigger, larger we can go with the memorabilia side of things. But 12th, the Canberra Raiders. So they're sitting on 12 points. They've won 5, lost 7, and they've had 1 bye. They've scored 249 points, 321 they've conceded, and they're sitting on the minus 72 points differential. Very weird season for the Canberra Raiders, Brent. For me, I don't know what it is with them. I still look at the Canberra Raiders quite positively. I'm waiting for something to happen. I'm waiting for the ball to start rolling, because I look at this side and I still think it's a fantastic looking football team. Hasn't quite worked so far. They are sitting in 12th, and that's helped because of that bye above the Storm. They're sitting on the same amount of wins. But Where are you at with the Canberra Raiders, mate?
Yeah, last year's minor premiers, mate, which I certainly didn't tip them to win the minor premiership last year. I think, yeah, I would have to agree with you. I guess they've just been another one of those teams. It's so hard to get a read on which team's going to show up on the day. If you know their full team that can show up does, they can beat anyone. But they've shown up at home at times and haven't played well, and then they have shown up away and played well. And I just can't get a read on them. I think obviously probably losing Fogarty was a bit more of an impact than probably people give it credit for. And, you know, you've seen the impact that he has had at the Eagles and how they're going at the moment. And there's that's nothing to say or nothing against Ethan Sanders. I think he's been unbelievable. I think he's a great player and will be a great 7 in the NRL for years to come, but he's certainly not at the level of Fogarty. But they haven't had a heap of change on paper from the team last year, apart from Fogs. He was probably the big one, am I right? He's probably the most notable one that they lost. So, you know, they've probably lost a few games that they could have won, which maybe it would put them up a little bit higher. And maybe last year that was just the difference. They managed to just sort of win a lot of those games, those tight games, and then that sort of sent them on their way. But, yeah, they're still a very exciting footy team, mate, aren't they? It's hard to get a read on. I just cannot get a read on how they're going to go for the rest of the year just because you just don't know what you're going to get when they turn up. But they've got an exciting team, right? KO Weeks at fullback, obviously Ethan Strange, Ethan Sanders, the Ethans in the halves there, and Tommy Starling at 9. They've got a good, you know, young, exciting spine, bar probably Starling when I say young, but got a good pack on paper as well, and then some exciting backs. I've always been probably a little bit critical of their outside backs, guys like Xavier Savage, Seb Chris, even Tomoko at times, but you know, they show up and do a job. And when they do, they're a great side. So they're probably going to be one of the trickiest ones for me tonight in terms of trying to understand whether they're contenders or pretenders. But yeah, I hate having to tip them every week because you just don't know what side you're going to get.
But I keep tipping them. That's the thing for me. I'm just a big believer in the Raiders. I don't know why. Probably shouldn't be going off form, and I'm probably still stuck in a little bit of last year. But I look at that pack, I still think it's one of the best packs in the competition. Probably challenged now by the Warriors, who have probably overtaken them consistency-wise. But I still think they're well and truly up there. I think they are a bit of a victim to still learning the game with Ethan Sanders, taking probably a little bit longer. He's had some really good moments, some really solid games, but he's probably not quite where you would have wanted him to be so far because he wasn't a complete rookie either. He has touched first grade a couple of times before with the Eels and the like, so he has had a bit of time there. He's played a fair bit of New South Wales Cup, so against men, so he's had that competition there. So he's not playing bad by any means, but I just think maybe they would have liked a little bit more from him by now. I think this origin period is very good for him moving forward into the future in terms of, I think Ethan Strange has already showed after one game how much confidence he's taken off that, and he can be freakish in this run home. So I'm really keen to see what he can do. But yeah, they're an interesting one. It's hard to get a read on the Raiders, mate. I'll just ask you, go straight into it. Who impressed you so far from the Raiders?
Oh, I mean, it's easy to jump on him now because of the Blues form, but I mean, it has to be Ethan Strange, doesn't it? I think people forget he's only like a 21-year-old as well, but his emergence since he sort of come into first grade has been something else. But I just love everything about him. He's all effort. You know what you're going to get from him every week, but he's a strong ball runner, great defender. And there's now chat that like you can't leave him out of a Blues team. So all of a sudden he's now, you know, possibly this household name and, you know, Blue for the next however many years to come. But I just love watching him, and he's just added so much venom on their left edge with Huddy out there, hasn't he? So yeah, when I watch the Raiders, I really enjoy watching a guy like Ethan Strange go around, as I'm sure many people do. But he's one of a few exciting players that they have.
Yeah. For me, I've actually gone. He's been out for a little bit now, but I can't forget how good he started the year. Simi Sasangi. He was just absolutely phenomenal, and at a stage there, and this is with Latrell Mitchell doing what he was doing as well. He was literally centre probably of the year at one stage there. So it just shows you how good he was going, and he was playing out of position. I think he's probably better as that ball running sort of edge forward, but he's quickly established he's almost a better center now as well. He's just been phenomenal so far this year. I think they've missed him terribly, so he'll be back over the next couple of weeks, I assume, and really help the Raiders on that run home. Player for you that needs to improve, Hampo.
Yeah, geez, that's another tricky one. Up until probably a few weeks ago, I might have said someone like Joey Tapane, but he's been a little bit better. What do we got in that list? I mean, they've been pretty... I don't feel like there's anyone that sort of stood out as a stinker for me, but I don't know. Who have you got there? I'm not sure.
I've gone Ethan Sanders just because of what I said earlier. I think there's a little bit more needed from him at times, and I think he has let maybe a couple of games sort of go away over the last probably 4 or 5 weeks. So I just think, especially with Kobe Black there, they've been very patient with him, luckily, for Ethan Sanders' point of view. I just want him to just improve that little bit more. So it's not a beat down on the kid. I still think he's doing a very fair job. I just think to get better this year and to achieve potentially top 8, they need Ethan Sanders to improve.
Yeah, look, that's a take. I reckon I thought he's been quite good at times, but maybe I just don't have that. I know he's played a few games last year as well, but I'll probably have a little bit closer look at him now you've said that.
No, I'll get heat for that one. That's fine. Pretenders or contenders for the Raiders, mate?
I just think because of the inconsistency we've seen this year, I'm going to go with pretenders.
I don't know what it is. Again, I think I've got some weird lime green glasses on at the moment. I've got them as contenders. I've actually gone in on the Raiders and think they can still make something of this year. There's just enough talent there. I think Sasangi comes back into things and makes a huge difference for him. Strange off the origin period. Hudson Young's starting to find some really good form as well. Yeah, there's a few things I really like Noah Martin, the emergence of him. He'll be back at some point as well. Like there's some good things I think happening, and I think they're still close enough where they're one of the teams outside that I can actually see getting on a run. They're still quite a young football team, so miles in the leg doesn't really worry me either. So yeah, I've gone contenders. My first contenders of the night. The Brisbane Broncos are sitting 11th, mate, and they played 12. They're on 12 points. They've had 5 wins, 7 losses, 1 bye, 252 points for, 313 against, minus 61. The defending premiers, things aren't going according to plan for the Brisbane Broncos. A lot of injuries, a lot of key injuries for sure. Reece Walsh and Reynolds do not combine at all. I think we can establish that now. Players haven't been in form. Have they got a big ego from what happened last year and haven't come back down to earth? Maybe, not too sure. What are you making of them, mate?
Yeah, the last month has been very interesting for the Broncos, hasn't it? Again, another side that has been hit by injuries, which every team deals with it, but you can't excuse all your poor performances just purely due to injuries. You've got a top 30 squad there, and they're all professional athletes that get paid to do a job at the end of the day. And yeah, they just haven't been up to it. The last month, they've been really found out. We sort of said there was a bit of pressure on Mads earlier in the year, and he sort of kept them at bay. But I think it's going to get a little bit harder to ignore if they don't turn the current form around that they're in pretty quickly. And it's, again, another tricky period of the year for the Broncos that we start to go through now. So look, I heard a stat on the weekend. They have... Is it the first 4 halves of the last 4 first halves of footy they've played? They've scored 1 try. So I think that was the stat. So you consider the defending premiers have scored 1 try in the last 160 minutes of first half footy. It's pretty poor, especially when you consider some of the players they've got. I know Reece Walsh has been out, but I don't know. I just cannot ever write this team off just because of what we've seen from them, particularly last year. And as long as Reece Walsh is fit, they're obviously starting to get some troops back on the field. Payno's back now. They do lose Paddy for a bit. I still will give them a bit of credit, but I didn't tip them to sort of have the last month that they've had probably either. Because I thought they were great early on when they started to lose some troops. They They just lost to the Cows. They went down their backs against the wall and beat the Tigers in Campbelltown, I think it was. So they showed a little bit, but maybe it just caught up with them a bit through that period. But yeah, look, they certainly don't. They sort of look like a team that can't win the comp, and that was sort of what they looked like last year before they went on their big run and ended up winning the comp famously. But I'm still not writing them off for sure yet. That's it. That's for sure.
I'm curious how happy this camp is as well, because we did see Payne Haas come out on the weekend with his return game and basically put the playing group on notice with a few of the comments he did say, and just say it wasn't up to the Broncos' quality and not what they're about as a football team. Some people basically need to look at themselves in the mirror. Pretty harsh words from a guy just coming back from injury as well. He's obviously seen some stuff that he hasn't been liking. He's leaving at the end of the year, so it's a huge year for the Broncos. Many are tipping them post this Payne Haas era to maybe drop down in the pack a little bit. I know plenty of mirroring this on last year and what's happened. I just see a bit of a different Broncos team. I don't know if they've got the extra kick in them this year. Like, they've proved everything. They've proven they can do it. They've won the competition now. I'm starting to see a bit of an arrogant football side. I'm going to say it. I'm just starting to see a team that, let's just call a spade a spade. To lose to the Dragons on the weekend, I know everyone's saying, and rightly so, the Dragons were good. Like, credit to them. But it was the Dragons who haven't won a game this year. Majority of games they've played in this year, they haven't looked anywhere near it. It looked like the Broncos went out to that game thinking, we'll put 50 on these guys by just being on the park. And that's the worry for me with this football side moving forward. Because, yes, they've got some pretty decent home games coming up, or games they're in Queensland for, like Cambo said. But the other part of that is they've actually got a lot of very good football teams coming up, basically for the run home. So the draw isn't that easy for them either. And with that attitude they've currently got, I don't know if they can win too many more games. So I'm a little bit worried about what I'm seeing from the Broncos, especially after the weekend. It's really turned me off the Broncos. So interesting to see what we've got here to say. So for me, the player that's impressed me the most this year, and I think he's been a bit of a real Mr. Fix-It in the forwards, Xavier Willison. He's been huge. He's been better and getting better and better. The more game time he gets, seems to be loving. He's now got a chance to get, the next 3, 4, 5 weeks, basically at lock to cover for Paddy Carrigan, which I think he will just thrive in. I think Xavier Willison's been fantastic for the Broncos, so he's been the player that's impressed me the most. Hampo?
Yeah, good shout, mate. I'm going to go with Katoni. I think Katoni's been good this year. Defensively, he's been a lot better. I thought he was great defensively in Origin, but there's always been a bit of conjecture around, I guess, his consistency and his ability to be an elite level sort of player and centre. And I just feel like we're starting to see him go into another era of his career, and I think he's been good this year.
That is a huge, huge shout out. I absolutely love it. I feel like a bit embarrassed not going him, actually, because he's been very good. A player that I think needs to improve, needs to lift, and he has been dropped this week. So Ezra Mam hasn't been great at all this year, I don't think. And how he got picked in game 1 for the Maroons, I'll never know. He didn't warrant it at all. Hasn't come back anywhere near the player he was from the back end of last year. So he definitely, for mine, if the Broncos are to do anything in this competition, he needs to provide that extra attacking threat to take pressure off the likes of Reece Walsh, because no coincidence at the moment, they're not doing too much while Ezra Mann's in the form he's in.
Mate, that was huge. Wasn't it? Billy picks him for Origin and Madge drops him straight away. And look, fair enough. I think if that puts the fire under the belly into him and puts a cracker up his ass sort of thing and gets him going again, fair enough. I think that's what I like about Madge. If this team's going to do anything to defend their title, they need Ezra Harmon. Like, we've seen how great he can be when he's going well, but he hasn't been a shadow of that player. So I think it's a fair shout, mate, and I like that Madge will actually sit someone like that and give. How's that to Billy, the old Origin, his old Origin foe? He's you're going to pick him for Origin. I'm actually going to fucking bench him from the club side. So I love that from Madge as well. Me, mate, I think I'm just going to pick on Reece Walsh. I guess we just can be pretty critical on Walsh because we know what he's capable of. And again, he's still so young, so I don't want to be too critical. People, I think, forget how young he is, but what he's achieved now, he's always going to have that expectation on his back every time he runs out. But I don't know. That run that he went on last year, everything looked pretty effortless. And at times this year, I just feel like it looks like he's trying too hard at times, maybe. Probably will come with his game, but I think we just still haven't seen that Reece Walsh that we saw at the back end of last year this year. And if he can figure it out, I just can never write him off.
Yeah, absolutely. In that one, I don't know if I've got this in. I don't know if I'm looking too much into the performance on the weekend or not. I reckon if I did this time last week, it would have had a different answer. I've actually got the Broncos down as pretenders this year. I actually don't think they can make the 8 anymore. On the weekend, it's just thrown me off completely.
Yeah, look, it's a big call. Like you said, they got a big run home as well. They got some pretty tough games. They do still have 2 buys left, but I can see them dribbling in there, mate. I'm going to go contender.
Next up, we're going to start moving here as well. The West Tigers 10th. We're dribbling once again, what we're famous for.
We need a 2-part series, maybe.
Oh, goodness me. The West Tigers 10th. But if we do that, we'll be over. There'll be no halfway point anymore. West Tigers are in 10th at the moment. Played 11 games, 16 points at the moment. So the 4-point gap between 11th and 10th. 6 wins, 5 losses, 2 buys. Scored 275 points, 285 points against, a minus 10 points differential. Mate, I'm going to be honest with you. I've actually been really impressed with the Tigers this year. I know they've had a bit of a shitty period the last month or so. That's been with a lot of injuries, and they've had like their 3 or 4 best players out for periods of time at the moment. So they're really hurting with this. But when at the start of the year, when they had a good strength team, I was loving the football that Benji Ball basically was doing for the West Tigers. They're all on board. The middles were fantastic. The edge forwards are as dangerous as ever. The halves were combining really well. The back line's dangerous. Buller's doing great things at the back. Api Coruscant's one of the most dangerous hookers in the competition to date. Plenty of like green arrows at the moment. So I'm all for the Tigers at the moment.
Yeah, mate, I think whilst they've been sort of probably not as lenient on some of the, like your blokes for the injuries, I think the Tigers are just where they are because of injuries. I think they're going to be a dangerous footy team once they get everyone back on the park. So I agree with everything you said. They are an exciting team to watch now. Tigers fans will be loving. They've got an exciting squad. Yeah, look, they're sitting 10th currently. There'll probably be a bit of head noise around the fact they're still sitting around 9th position at this point of the year. Lucky they aren't sitting 9th. I'll tell you what, that'd be an absolute shit stir. But yeah, look, I just think that, it's a bit of a shame they've had so many injuries, and I just hope that that's all they cop and they can sort of get the squad back on the field and look at that run home, because I just want to see them. Like, if they're all fully fit, they can beat anyone. And I just want to see it come finals. I just want to see them somewhere in the finals and see what they can produce. Defensively, I think they can be a bit hit and miss, but their attack is what wins them games. And I think they're going to be that team this year.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I'm very keen to see this run home with the Tigers, because I think they'll get back on board and do some things. The player that impressed you the most so far, mate?
Yeah, oh geez, there's been a few. It's bloody hard to pick one out of the Tigers, but I am gonna go. I reckon I'm gonna go. Would it be Adam Dewey? I just think he's been so good for them and so important. Like, we've noticed how much of a difference him not being there has made, and you can put it down to a few other injuries, and there's probably a few other guys that have been quite good, but he was electric, mate. When he was playing, I know it's been a bit of a shame he's been missing the last month or so now, but I just don't think they'll be going as well in that team if they had just had, say, Madden and LOI for the year. I think he makes a massive difference to that footy team.
Yeah, no, he's actually been fantastic. I had him as my choice. I deleted him, though, because then I remembered there's a guy called Alex Twal who I think has been phenomenal. I think he's the most improved player in the competition. He has gone to a level this year that I couldn't not pick him. So for me, Alex Twal, I think he's very unlucky to miss Origin pick in game 1. I thought he deserved it just from form alone. Unfortunate injury now. I think the Tigers will really miss Alex Twal over the next couple of weeks. But yeah, for mine, Alex Twal. What about your player that needs to improve?
I think Joel LOI. I think the money's on. I know there's all the PNG chit chat and all that stuff in the background now, and he's been good at times, but I just still don't think he uses his outside man well enough. He's just got to promote the ball a bit more and help sort of bring that left side on a bit more with him to come with him. If they're going to do any damage, they've got to open up that left side a bit more. And I'm putting it on Jerome. I just think he's been poor at times this year.
Yeah, no, I agree there. For mine, I've actually gone Joel Skelton, and this is a bit of a different one. I've gone him because I think there's a very good footballer in Joel Skelton, and I just think even when they're at full strength, he needs to be forcing his way into this football side. We get glimpses of how good he is as a player, and we just don't see it consistently enough. And I really want him to really knuckle down at the back end this year, really improve and really solidify his spot in this back line, because at his best, he's a hell of a player. He's a damaging winger. He gets some great meters out of his own end. He can score a try. He's got everything, in my opinion. So I think he needs to improve, and he needs to make sure. I know they've got some good young wingers in there at the moment, but he's a good enough player, in my opinion, that he should be making this team week in, week out. Tigers are pretenders or contenders, mate?
No, they're contenders.
I'm with you. Contenders, absolutely. Look out, Tiger. Get your finals tickets. You'll be in there. The 9th place Cowboys. So this is the other team that hasn't had a bye yet, guys. So they've played 13 games, 16 points they're on. They've had 8 wins. That's right, 8 wins, 5 losses, no byes. Like I said, 329 points for, 316 points against, plus 13 points differential. Cowboys are sitting very, very good. I know a lot of their fans like to remind me almost on a weekly basis. That has died off over the last couple of weeks, so shout out to the guys who have got the message. To be fair, though, I'm going to give you guys the credit back. I'm going to actually say you've really started to impress me as a football side. I think there's some things happening. If you took buys out of it, things like that, I think you're sitting about 3rd or 4th on the ladder, which is a remarkable start to the year for you guys. So you can sit there and you've got to stop looking and looking at what ifs and the like. They're a good football side. They've lost Dearden. That's a huge loss for them, but they've managed to overcome that somewhat. Jason Tamalolo's turned a corner. He's back to almost the Jason Tamalolo of old. He's a beast at the moment. The Cowboys, mate, they're doing some things.
Mate, they've been pretty good with Tommy gone too. I obviously lost, was it last week against the Raiders, which is, I think, their first loss since losing him. I know they lost against Apparel when he got injured, but, I thought that was going to be probably them falling off a little bit of a cliff for a little while because he's so important to the team. But, yeah, they've been really good. I mean, there was chat about Toddy Payton potentially being one of the first coaches sacked for this year. So, that chat has certainly disappeared, and they now are well entrenched in a battle to make the top 8. There's a number of teams all stacked and bunched there at the moment on 16 points. And yeah, I just think that factor of teams having to go up to North Queensland where it's hot and humid, and that road trip still must be one of the hardest road trips in the comp. But equally now, when you start to see them travel like down to Canberra when it's a bit colder, it is tricky for them. But again, just another team that, despite their positive win-loss record, I still just cannot pick them some days on which team's going to show up. I think they've been better than a few of the other teams have said that about tonight. But again, just a very hot and cold rugby league team. And I don't know if it's just a symptom of the new game style and teams not being able to get back on top once they sort of lose the momentum or lose it through the middle and make a whole heap of extra tackles early on in a game or whatever. But again, there's just been times where trying to tip them or tip against them has just felt like if I had any hair, I'd pull it out. But look, you got a team with guys like Drinky. Reid Marnie's been probably pretty good the last month, a bit better. Jake Clifford's been playing some good footy, and then obviously Tommy did, and they've got a decent spine, a little bit of a sneaky spine on paper, I guess, and they're going to cause some headaches when they get it right.
Absolutely. For mine, just before I get into that, the Todd Payton situation as well. He hasn't been extended yet. There's obviously still things happening in the background. It's a very weird one because I don't know what else they're waiting for. He's deserved his extension, in my opinion. Not too sure why they haven't given that to him. So I just feel like, and this is just my prediction, guys, and this isn't against anything what he's achieved this year. I reckon they had a preconceived idea heading into this season that they wanted to move on with Todd Payton and go elsewhere. The fact that he keeps winning games and this team's actually doing a good thing is hurting them, because it would look pretty bad at the moment if they came out and changed coaches. And some out there probably would look at whoever the coach is that I've heard, someone like Brad Arthur, maybe Dean Young, whoever it's going to be. some would argue both of them in different situations might not be as good as Todd Payton. Why are you changing that? So it's not the best look for the club, I guess, at the moment. It's a weird one. They're doing well. So I don't know. Make a decision. I can make a decision soon because you need to start planning for next year and beyond. And if Todd Payton's not going to be the coach of that, you need to hurry up and get that done. It may hurt this year. It may jeopardize the season. I'm not too sure. But you need to do the right thing for the incoming coach. If it's not going to be Todd Payton, then even if it is, you need to make that play happen because he needs to be doing things and planning for the future of that club. You just lost, say, Drinkwater, for instance, like some big causes to come in that club, as we've seen. What about so the player that impressed me so far? I'm shocked he didn't get a Maroons jersey. I've gone Helam Lukey. He's been awesome on the edge there. Obviously, they have had no Nanai for majority of this year, but even when Nanai's fully fit, I don't think Lukey can go out of this starting spot. He's a freak. He's a junk time, as the Supercoach like to say, dog. He loves to get some late points, which is most of the time a try. He loves a late try. Works his ass off. He's a dangerous football player. The sky's the limit for this bloke over the next few years. I think he'll become a regular in the Queensland side. Great start to the year. Hampo?
Yeah, good shout for Lukey, mate. I am going to go with, I think, Jake Clifford. He's been a bit of a journeyman over the years and never really established himself as an elite half in the NRL. Had stints here, there, and everywhere. He went overseas as well for a period there. But I love the Jake Clifford we're seeing this year. He's running the ball a bit more, taking the line on. He's actually deceptively big for a half, but it's strong defensively. Can kick a ball as well as anyone. He kicks the skin off of it. He's got a sneaky underrated leg on him. So I'm going Jake Clifford. I think he's been really good for him this year.
Yeah. Most player that needs to improve. I've actually gone Jackson Purdue in this one. I think he has been a bit quiet over the last probably 6 or so weeks. He did have a couple of really decent outings to start with. I still remember that patch he had at Vegas when he got to fullback and he just lit that 10 minutes up when Drinky was off. He's just not doing enough. Another guy that I think when it comes to centre, he should be going in and doing a little bit more, looking for the ball. He seems to be happy just to be on his edge and just play his part. He's a fantastic footy player. I want to see him do a bit more. I want to see him, especially at the moment with no Dearden, go in and be a bit more of an attacking threat because he's a very dangerous talent. It feels like at the moment he's sitting there waiting for next year to arrive where he's basically going to be given the fullback position. I think the Cowboys, they can do something this year. I don't know if they can generally win the comp, but they can definitely be a pain in the arse to a lot of teams come finals football. They needed Jackson Purdue at his best, which I just don't think he's been for a while now. Hampo?
I agree, mate. I had the same. I think he's just so electric, so quick, hard to tackle that he should be coming in and sniffing around for the ball a lot more. Especially if he thinks he's going to be playing a bit of fullback next year. He's going to have to bring the ball back into some kick chase lines. So I'd be trying to make the most of this time he's got at centre, and you should be having like 10 to 15 hit-ups a game, even if it's just him coming in and having a scoot for those back sets and stuff like that out of yardage. So I know there's not much of him, but he could be a big difference maker for him. It's just, I think, a confidence thing. So it'd be nice to see him get a bit more involved.
Yep, absolutely. Fair. I've actually got the Cowboys as contenders. They're showing up to me at the moment. They'll be playing finals football, it looks like. And I don't know if they can win the comp, like I said, but I definitely think as we're ranking their contenders.
I'm going pretenders. I don't know what it is. I think they're capable, but I just feel like some of the other teams are going to make a bit of a run. I don't know if the Cowboys. The beauty is that they have a bit of a gap on some of those teams currently, but I just don't know if they're going to be enough to keep some of these other teams out. That's all.
Yeah, three buys to come is an advantage in a way in terms of they can get rests and get players back, things like that. It just means at the moment they do look a bit like a tired football team. Sitting 8th at the moment, the Cronulla Sharks. They've played 11 games, 16 points, 6 wins, 5 losses, 2 buys, 322 points for, 282 points against, plus 40 points differential. To be honest, mate, I am just a bit over the Cronulla Sharks. I'll be honest with everyone out there. They're just so hit and miss, and I'm just over them. They should be a proper contender football team by now. They've had enough years to get together. This is the last year that their side looks like they're starting to really fall apart. There's a new shake-up, which I think is required. I definitely think it's required. But, mate, I really don't know what to make of the Shark season so far. I know they're sitting 8th. I think that's a bit of a fake sort of 8th as well. Like we just spoke about, the Cowboys are 2 wins ahead of them. Really, when it comes down to things, they've just been disappointing. The Haas, once again, the Haas can't get on the same page. They seem like only one of them ever plays a good game. It's never both of them. They don't click well. It waits for one of them to be out for the other one to take over. It's just the same old.
Yeah, I guess it's just they don't seem to have anything too exciting to watch. It feels like they've obviously got a pretty capable 1 to 17 or 1 to 19. Regular, pretty experienced guys that probably we've expected to see a little bit more of over the last few years. Where everyone's sort of talked about the Sharks' premiership window and that coming to a pretty quick close, but. Yeah, I don't know. At times they just get the job done without being too flashy, but it's just never that exciting to watch, I feel like. And yeah, you look on the weekend and they almost look better without Nico, which was crazy. Trindle was great and Puru was awesome as well. So begs the question around, is there something they could be trying to do there with the halves? While the big talking point is the fullback spot, I reckon, but. I still just don't think that as long as they have someone like Will Kennedy at fullback, they can win a comp regardless of how good any of their other players are, because it's just such an important position. I'd probably agree with you. They've not been here nor there. They've lost some games I think they should have won, and then probably won some games that we probably expected them to lose. So, again, another one of those hard teams to tip, but I still think that they're going to probably still be somewhere up and around that top 4 by the end of the year, though.
Oh, look out. Who's impressed you so far?
Yeah, good one. I reckon probably Braden Trindle at times. I know he's very hit and miss, but he just, every time he plays, once they decide that he's going to be the one that calls the shots, that's what he does. He just a lot of leads from in front. Everything comes off the back of him. I just would love to actually see him get the 7 and move Nico somewhere else, because anytime the ball's around him, he's always trying to do something. He's a big effort guy. He likes to ruffle the skin of the opposition players as well. He doesn't mind a bit of a shit stir. But, he just comes up with these great little footy plays a lot of the time, Jolie. Like, he's just a footy player. And I just feel like having him and Hines both in the halves can sort of be a bit of a waste of both of them. And I'd just love to, even if it was just an experiment, to chuck Hines at 1 and have Trindle in that 7 jersey. But, yeah, for me, I reckon I'm probably going to go Braden.
I think having Hines as $1 million man in this team has really hindered them. I think it's a lot of the time has forced them to play him and overplay him in roles that doesn't necessarily suit the club the best there. I've gone Blake Brayley. I've actually think Blake Brayley's been the best. Anytime that the good things are happening, it seems to be revolved around Blake Brayley. So I'll lock him in. The player that needs to improve the most for basically the run home, Hampo.
I'll probably, there's a few you could pick on. I'm still going to go after AFB. I just don't think he's the guy. I wasn't impressed by him in Origin, if I'm honest. I don't know if any others were, but I just don't know what it is. It's like he's lost his mongrel. I just want to see that mean, lean, sort of angry machine, but maybe he's just mellowed out and he's getting older, but I don't know. They need some mongrel if they're going to sort of scare any teams, and he's the guy that should be providing it. I don't know. I'm just not seeing it from AFB, and I feel like he's plodding a bit this year.
I want to see him get up and start someone. I just want to see him all of it. Just get in there, just throw one if you need to. Just pump up.
Get a bit of mongrel about you, son.
Yeah. I've gone AFB as well, and basically I just agree with every single point that you've made. Pretenders or contenders for the Sharkies, mate?
I still have them in there just for experience. So I'm not sold that they'll go near the comp, but I see them in the finals.
I'm off them. Pretenders for me. I've gone off the Cronulla Sharks. 7th is the Dolphins. The Dolphins are sitting 11. They played 11, 16 wins, 6 wins, points 16. They won 6, lost 5, 2 buys, 290 points for, 239 against, plus 51. The Dolphins are starting to find some form though. So a little bit different. They've got the same stats as the Sharks, but the Dolphins started really slowly. They're actually starting to find a bit of form and play some really good football, I reckon. I'm starting to become very impressed with the Dolphins, mate. I predicted them at the start of the year to be a really big danger team this year and to really edge into the potentially a top 4 spot. I didn't like what I first seen. I thought, holy shit, they've made me look like an idiot, but they're starting to really turn a corner. Isaiah Katoa starting to come back into his old form, starting to really control games and come up with a few little trick plays, which I love. Their edge back rollers are doing some fantastic things. Their excitement plays are starting to come into their own and demand the football and look dangerous. Their forward pack, which I think started slower, really starting to evolve into the way that the game is played this day and age as well. Plenty to like so far about the Dolphins, mate, for me.
Yeah, agreed, mate. It was a slow start. Totally agree with you, but they now are humming. I think they've got a very dangerous footy team on paper. They've shown that they will be able to put some points on. And was it last year they were the best attacking team in the comp?
Yeah,
might have been last year, the year before, but
by some way.
Yeah, so, they get Jeremy Marshall-King back now, which, might not seem like much at the surface, but to have a guy like that being able to come in at 9 there, and I think Maxi Plass has been great, and obviously you can have him roll into lock as well, but that's going to be a big, big difference maker for them at times as well. Just having that experienced level head at acting half sort of send them in the right direction now as well. So that'll go a bit underrated as he sort of gets match fitness back up and gets back into things, but yeah, mate, very dangerous team. They've got a great back line. The forward pack's looking good. Those edges are awesome, as you said. And, yeah, I can see them causing plenty of headaches for any team they come up against for the run home.
They're such an exciting football team that I think the biggest thing that makes them so dangerous, they can be behind by like 20, and as the opposition, you're not comfortable. You're just thinking, I think we need another 10 points here, like just quietly.
Well, that Panthers game, they were out of that game at halftime and nearly stole it. So,
player that's impressed me so far the most of the Dolphins, I think Kulakefu Finefiliaki has been phenomenal. Again, a guy that I would have in that probably the starting side for the Maroons, to be fair. He's just done so many good things this year. He's a damaging ball runner. He's doing some hard work. He's doing all the work. It feels like he doesn't stop. Even when they weren't great to start the year, he was the shining light. And now it feels like a lot of the players are starting to perform to his level and help him out, which has been needed. But I think it's been a freak so far this year, and really keen to see him in the back half of this year once a few of the players around him start to get to his level as well.
No, 100%. I couldn't agree more. He had huge raps on him in the last couple of years, and I was sort of like, where is it? And what we're seeing this year is that. So he's awesome. I'm going Herbie, mate. I just can't go past the big pom machine. He's just so good. Just, breaks 1,000 tackles every week, runs 150, 200 meters for center, just in everything. Yeah, I just love watching him. He's just such a great athlete, and he's been great for him.
And he's hot. So
yeah, apparently he oils up his legs, and that's why he breaks so many tackles. But it's an unsubstantiated claim.
There's plenty of super coaches out there that would be happy to oil those legs up for him. To improve, this guy has been injured a little bit this year so far, but even when he has been fit, I just think he's missing a bit. He was a bit of an enforcer style forward last year. He's missing that this year so far. I've gone Francis Molo, who I just don't think has been quite up to his level so far this year. Like I said, potentially taking some time to get back from an injury, but by now, I think he's played about 7 or 8 games. I would have expected a bit more from him, but it hasn't lived up to it yet. Hampo?
I'm going to go the hammer. I just don't know if we've seen enough from him this year, mate. I think if he hits a gear that we know he can hit, maybe he'll hit that post coming out of Origin, this team could genuinely be a premiership threat. So I don't think we've seen a great deal from Hammer so far this year, whilst he's been good in glimpses. He needs to get in the game a bit more, I reckon.
Contenders for me for the Dolphins, I think they're going to do some things. They're going to be a finals football side, and I'm keen to see what they can do in the finals, their first final series since becoming an NRL team. Hampo?
Yeah, I agree, mate. They're contenders.
South Sydney are next up. So South Sydney Rabbitohs sitting 6th. They're, again, another team on 16 points. They've played 11 games, 6 wins, 5 losses, 2 byes, 324 points for, 266 points against, plus 58 points differential. They've sort of hit a bit of a lull period. I think it's fair to say over the last month or so that the Rabbitohs, they've come back down to the pack a little bit. I was really big on them to start the year over that first initial period. They're looking like a phenomenal football team. I keep forgetting that their coach is Wayne Bennett, and would not surprise me at all. I know they've had some injuries and the like. He doesn't really care about this sort of period at the moment. He just wants his teams to get through, and then he just goes again the back end of the year. wouldn't surprise me if he's just completely taken the foot off the accelerator after seeing how good they did start the year and how dangerous they can be, how many points they can put on quickly. The left edge, everyone talks about it, how dangerous it can be, but the right edge really picked some of the slack up this year so far as well. They've been really good on that right edge. So I think as overall, I think they're a very, very good football side. I think many out there should be very worried about the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Yep, again, this little injury curse that seems to happen every year for him has hit him. The one to Latrell is one that is a bit of a worry because it's lingering around now for a lot longer than we were led to believe it would be. So that's definitely a bit of a worry for the Bunnies. But granted, they've won a few more games. They're in and around the no risk of missing the 8. So take as much time as you can with Latrell and reap the benefits for the rest of the season.
100%, mate. And I think, obviously with Trell not being in the team, that makes a huge difference to them. But they certainly can't win a comp without him, in my opinion. And you could say the same for, I would say the Panthers can't win a comp without Cleary. The Knights can't win a comp without Ponga. That same sort of rhetoric. But he's so important to them that I still can't believe they even played him that magic round that we watched. Because unless there was a phone call of get through this game and you'll play Origin. I can't imagine that's what happened, but I just find that one of the still most bizarre things ever because now he's probably going to miss a few extra weeks as a result of all that. But yeah, mate, I tipped them at the top 4 before the season started. They were my one of those sort of teams, and we did all those predictions. They're starting to hit their straps. They did start a little bit slow, but they've just got so many attacking weapons, don't they, across the park. I don't think Fifi's been anything special yet. He'll be back this week, which will be a big coup for him. But yeah, Trell's gone to another level, and as long as he is available for them come the end of the year, they'll be able to beat any team, Penrith included. But Trell needs to be fit.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you there. For the Bunnies, who's impressed you so much so far this year?
Yeah, I guess I'm a big fan of him, and maybe not their best player, but he's been brilliant at times. Talis Duncan, I just love watching him. He rips and tears, does a job wherever they chuck him. Runs hard, tackles hard. I actually thought he might have been a bit of a smoky for Origin this year, mate, but just love how he goes about his business, and I think at times he can probably get a little bit more involved as well, a little bit guilty of going missing, but I think he's shown some great signs for the future, old Talis Duncan.
How dare you try and say that Laurie Daly would make a form pick? Goodness me. Okay. I've gone Latrell Mitchell. I just think I know he's been out for a little bit now, but can't get over his run at the start of the year and how good he was. He was head and shoulders above. And I still think he's still now, even though he hasn't played the last couple of weeks, still ranked for mine, the best center in the competition at the moment, which tells you just how good he was to start the year. Which player needs to improve?
I reckon Cody. I'm going to call out Cody. There's another name I was thinking of, but I think Cody's the criticism. He's a key piece to what they'll do, key piece to the spine. They're going to have a young 7 regardless. They need him to keep a level head, but they also need him to just worry about his footy. Yeah. Great talent. If he just worries about the footy, the rest sorts of stuff else. But just, fuck, mate, you're my age. You'd be mid-30s. Just fucking let all that other shit go. Would you they're just a brain explosion away from potentially derailing a big chance of their premiership at any time Cody runs out. That's all.
I'm with you. I had Cody Walker for the exact same reasons. The way I think about it, honestly, you have 18 months at max left in this game. You've got probably realistically 2 very good chances of winning a competition as well. Just bite down on the mouth guard sometimes. Some of the things that you bite at, I just think you become such an easy target for teams, and there's very clear teams target him. Just there's no point, man. There's some of them are at full time and he's in there still going. Just walk away, set an example for this side that has a lot of youngsters at the moment, and just be there for the bigger picture, which is you want to win the grand final. It's just, and one big thing I don't like about all this and what he does is during the game when he does it, you can actually sense some of the players around him start to go, oh, okay, I don't really I want to be around this sort of thing. And it does put him off a little bit. So for the greater good of this side, Cody Walker, please, you've actually been in pretty good form this year. You've been a pretty good player when we're just talking from a footy sense. Just stick to that, mate. You're doing a great thing.
He'd be a terrible fish the way he bites.
Oh, he'd be a
Bites
fisherman's. How good would it be to be a fisherman around him? Shout out quickly to fish. I did a bit of fishing on the weekend. The only thing I caught was a puffer fish. So thank you.
Got something on the boat. That's
right. Contenders or pretenders? I've got contenders. I think they can definitely be something in this competition.
I agree, mate. I think they'll be thereabouts.
Manly a fifth. Fosball has extended. Manly doing some silly things at the moment. They've played 12 games, 16 points, 7 wins though, 5 losses, only the 1 bye so far. 339 points for, 236 against, 103 points differential. I just didn't realize that they were going that well. Goodness me, mate. Talk about a game of what, 3 weeks into the rest of the year so far. The Manly Sea Eagles took Seabold to go, Fosball to take the wheel after just retiring last year. The players all of a sudden remembered how to play football. They're a very good football side.
Mate, I think as per the numbers, they're the 3rd best defensive team and the 4th best attacking team, if the for and against don't deceive me. So, I mean, that's huge. You consider how that team started the year and all that hoo-ha that happened with old Seabold. Like, what? This is like, this corner turn has got to be studied. I know, obviously, Foz come in, makes it just blows my mind how much of a difference a coach can make to a playing group. And, mate, like, they have just, you know, I remember they've got a couple of Manly supporters that are mates, and I just remember just pizzling them about how they're going to get the spoon this year at one point, you know, like they looked so bad, and then they lost Turbo, and it was just like, good luck, you're fucked. But it's just unbelievable. The Fosball movement is just, I still can't believe they're in the position that they're in now, considering how they started the year, and we're now talking about them as like certainly a top 4 chance, and who knows what else with the state of the game this year. There is every chance, if they keep this up, that they will be like in a prelim or something like that with an opportunity to make a grand final, which would be huge for the Eagles.
I just don't remember like a turnaround like this, considering it's the same personnel. It is literally the same team out there that so many of us thought would not do anything this year. Their forward pack was a worry, everything like that. Turbo being injured, all that sort of shit. They're just like, Foz has done something to the forward pack. They look like giants now. They play such a very good style of football. I was looking at stats today, and I actually didn't realize, and credit to him, how bloody good Ben Trebojevic has been for them. He has been remarkable. Like, players like that, I hate giving him credit, obviously, because of the team I support. It just feels wrong to be doing it on so many levels. But I just have to give them their flowers. They've been a phenomenal football team. The turnaround's been amazing. Well done for finally getting the Foz deal done. Just give the man whatever the hell he wanted to get that done. Well done to Manly. What do you got, mate? What do you got for you, the player that's impressed you the most?
I'm really critical of this bloke, and so I'm happy to put my hand up when he does well as well. And I actually thought he should have been out of the side early on after the first start. But I'm going to say Luke Brooks, mate. Like, honestly, he has been one of their best players. I think they've had a few really good players since Foz took over, but mate, he's probably in career best form of Luke Brooks. I remember just thinking, like, get Joey Walsh in there, fuck him off out of there. I don't know how Brooks is still in there, but you couldn't do it now. He literally couldn't do it. He's been brilliant. He's turned a huge corner. I don't know if it's something Foz has got in his ear, giving him a bit of confidence or whatever, but he looks, you know, like I said, career best form.
Well, it's no surprise he's the 6. His coach is the 6. One of the better sixes we've ever seen play the game. So, funny coincidence that he's now found form. It looks like his game's been dumbed down as well. Like, helps him a hell of a lot. Great shout. I've just gone Hamola Alaquata just because I know how good he's sort of been. He's damaging back in the Origin fold now, and he won't get out of that unless of an injury. So I think Hamola has been absolutely fantastic. But I was actually very close to going Luke Brooks with you, which is remarkable because I was alongside with you calling for his head by like round 3. That's crazy. Who's your player that needs to improve, needs to lift?
I still have my question marks over their hooking. So whether it's Simpkin or Brandon Wakeham or I don't know. I think there was chat about maybe Connor Watson potentially on the move before June 30. But, based on what they currently have now, that's probably my biggest doubt is that service out of dummy half. I don't know who it is or what it will look like, or they're just going to job share. But I don't know. I suppose they probably don't have to overplay their hand too much. But at times I just feel like it's just a position they're lacking in a little bit. And I don't know if it's going to cost them in the end, but I just feel like sometimes the service from those guys isn't always the best, and some of the decision making at times can be poor. So I think they can simplify it, just give the ball to your halves and let them do the rest. But I feel like they need a little bit more from them if they're going to be a true threat.
I am absolutely with you. I had Jake Simpkin as well. I really rate him. There's just something missing, it feels like, at the moment with his game. And don't know what it is, because like we said, everyone else in the team's just gone to another level. Feel like he's just sitting there plotting along in a way. Contenders for me, Hambo.
Yeah, C's up for sure.
Yeah. Look out, your boys are next. In the top 4, the Newcastle Knights are sitting 4th, and that's the end of the podcast, guys. I don't have time to talk about anything now. I'll let him have a bit of a brag here. So they've played 12, 18 points. You're on 8 wins. They've lost 4, 1 bye in there, 340 points for, 306 points against. Differential is 34. Hell of a start to the year for you boys, mate. Let me just take a seat while you go on.
Mate, whatever the podcast duration is now, it's about to double from this just one team. And look, I think I've said it earlier in the year, mate. It's just nice to be able to get excited about your footy team again. And I'm sure you can sort of appreciate it. Feels like you always support them week in, week out. But it's nice to just be able to think we're going to show up to a game and actually have a chance of maybe winning it now. But yeah, look, mate, they've certainly exceeded my expectations again. I just sort of underrate how much the ability of a coach can have on a squad, and we obviously saw the opposites, the other end of that spectrum being the negative impact that AOB has had, but we're now looking at it from the other end in the positive impact that old Holbrook's had. So, and some other coaches as well, like we just saw with the Eagles. So, yeah, look, we're a different side. We didn't change a whole lot in the forward pack, really, to be fair. We picked up Trey Mooney, who's been a big addition. Jermaine McEwen's sort of come from the clouds a little bit, but largely it's pretty unchanged up the middle. So pretty happy given pretty similar personnel through the guts there, and then the boys out the back. We know we're classy through 1 to 7. So I guess the sky's the limit. Pretty keen to see what happens this year, but defensively they've been really good, particularly to start games, and that's I think what's most promising. If there's a way that they can sort of keep that defensive effort going for a bit longer and then sort of fire back off the back of that and keep teams out early and then score quickly, who knows what could happen.
This weekend's crucial for the Newcastle Knights. I think it's a huge game to see where they're at. I think on the weekend may have just put a little few things out there in terms of, okay, maybe not quite as good as Ladder presents things to be. But to be fair, 8 wins so far this year has been a tremendous job by the Newcastle Knights. They're playing a great brand of football. I think the worry was Dylan Brown's not a 7. I think it's been a really good signing for the Knights. And Holbrook, credit where credit's due. I think he's been a fantastic coach. I think I've said it so many times. He was unfairly sacked by the Gold Coast Titans, but he's unlocked Dylan Brown's job. He's unlocked Kalen Ponga even more when he's on the field. He's unlocked a forward pack that many doubted this year, and we said they were a real big weakness when it came to the Newcastle Knights and making predictions at the start of the year. Their backline, like you said, unlocked it. They look like they're free to play some football, which I think any backline should have, that ability to be able to play some football. And that daytime football at the moment, I don't know what it's like in the back half of the year, but it looks like it's really suited the night style of play, playing every basically game this year so far in the daytime. Interested to see how it does turn into the night games, but going off what we've seen so far, mate, it's been a hell of an effort. There's been some very, very good footy players out there, so I'm keen to hear who you reckon's been who's impressed you the most, because you can almost say the whole team. It was a hard one when I did this one, but credit where it's due. I think Holbrook is the best thing that's happened to you guys for a long time. Keen to see how he can develop with this side and this club over the next couple of years and what he can actually do, because I think this is just a start. I think Holbrook would like maybe 1 or 2 more signings to really shore this side up. to really establish his DNA as well. But he's basically taken on an AOB roster that couldn't do anything last year and turned it around. It's been a hell of a turnaround.
Oh, mate, I totally agree with you. And I guess I do wonder how we'll sign fucking anyone when we just signed KP and Dill Brown for 80% of our salary cap. But, I just think the other nice thing is, like, your team win games, they start to build some confidence and some belief, Jolie. And hopefully with some of that this year, it then helps with, your squad when it comes to re-signing and things like that. Maybe guys are happy to take a little bit off the top so they can hang around and be part of what's getting built here. So, yeah, mate, I think for me, most improved wise, I just can't go past the 7. I know he's been injured, but he's just been so good. And I think Sandon Smith's been awesome, and Trey Mooney, shout out to those guys. And obviously KP's been electric. But the impact that Dill Brown has had already and will have, and again, it's just so early days. I'm so excited. Defensively, he is just so rock solid. Like, up against South the other week, he is such a great defender. He doesn't get enough credit for his defense.
He's the best cover defender in the comp by a mile. Man.
And he can chop any bloke down on his own. Like, he did it to Trell at times, but it doesn't matter who they send at him. He is such a great defender. He always turns up, and I just love a running half. Always enjoyed Dill Brown's footy because he was a running 6. And he's still doing it with us. I think he'll only keep getting better, and I just think he's been a massive, massive difference maker for us. And when we talk about giving KP a bit of help, he's the number one reason that we're doing a bit better this year, I reckon.
Bringing a tear to my eye. I miss you, Dill. I absolutely miss you. I've gone yellow Dylan. I've gone Dylan Lucas. I think he's been absolutely huge this year as well. So I've gone Dylan Lucas for who's impressed me the most at the Knights. Player that needs to improve, mate. Who do you look at and go, I need you to lift a little bit?
It's a tricky one because I can't be too critical of really any of them. So I'm going to have to pick someone out. I would have even said, I don't know. It's actually really tough. Maybe someone like Fletcher Hunt when he had a couple barriers this year. I know he scored a first half hat trick against the Chooks, but it just seems to me at times when he gets his opportunity, he doesn't always take it. I don't know if it's he's not sure what his best position is or his confidence. I mean, this year he's probably been a little bit better, but I'm probably scraping the barrel here because I think a lot of the guys have been really good. But I think when Fletcher Hunt gets his opportunity, he needs to make the most of it a bit more.
Some weird shit happening tonight because I've got the same first name once again with you, but I've gone Fletcher Sharp in a weird, and I agree with you. I actually found this extremely hard because I don't think anyone needs to improve too much because you're doing a fantastic job. The only reason I put Fletcher Sharp as my pick was I just think sometimes he can be a bit of a victim to playing third fiddle, basically. And I just think he needs to realize how good of a footballer he is. I know he's been hampered by the knee injury that he's played through as well that has probably taken him a little bit longer than he would have liked to come back. I think many people mentioned it on the weekend. He sort of was missing for a while there in that game. And all of a sudden he did a few things like, oh shit, he's actually out in the field. So he can do that a little bit. I would like if I was a Knights fan and for them to do something in this competition, yep, Dill Brown's going to do his thing. Callum Ponga's going to do his thing. But I think Fletcher Sharp needs to remember how good of a footy player he is and be busy, get his hands on the ball as much as he possibly can as well because, man, he's a good player. And him just floating around and being like that offload guy who's there in support, what he's done so good in the past, just want to see that from him. Again, he's not been bad, not at all. None of these players have. Just it's a fine margin. I just want him to do a little bit more. If you can agree, mate.
No, I think he's just that left edge is so stacked. That's all. Like, there's so many guys there.
He's a team player. He's happy to let it go.
And because he's not really, I don't reckon he's really a 6. Like he's more of a fullback. And KP and that Dill Brown thing, he's sort of more just like an extra centre to be out there at the moment. So anyway,
pretenders or contenders, mate.
Oh, I think it's pretty obvious. They're 2026 premiers for sure. It's just a matter of when, by how much now, isn't it?
I've got the same. Funny enough, I've got the same word that starts with a PR, but I've gone pretenders. I actually forgot that we were doing this tonight. When I wrote this down, I actually just thought about it, and I thought this time of year, there's always a team that slides a little bit, and for whatever reason, I don't know what it's going to be. And I actually anytime I'm talking about the Knights, it's positively, and this is just a wild out there prediction that I'm just saying. I look at the teams. And to be fair, there's another team that we're about to talk about, which may shock a few people that I'm not really rating that highly at the moment either. I don't know why I've done it. I just think pretenders. I don't know if you can. Yeah, I don't know.
The terms, what? You can't have rocks in your head if you're bloody off your head. I'll tell you that much. But anyway, you're entitled to your
I'll
own
cop it.
opinion. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. You can't.
I'll cop
vote
it. I don't know
someone.
why I've done it. I'll cop it. It's just something is telling me this might be the side that does slide the back half of the year, and just a bit of reality comes to it because they were so poor last year. I just maybe have glimpses of that still, and that comes into a little bit. I don't know. But you don't have many Sunday games to go, do you? So,
Mate, you're telling the story, not me. So you keep telling it.
thanks, Hampo, for coming in tonight. He's now left the podcast. Roosters are up next. And for the Sydney Roosters, they're sitting third at the moment. They played 11 games, 18 points. They're sitting on. They've only got 7 wins, though. 4 losses, 2 byes, 297 points for, 250 against, 47 points differential. Mate, the Roosters are a weird one because they're obviously on paper they're a hell of a football team. They've got a couple of people in and out of this team over the last basically since the start of the year as well, like pretty much every team in this competition has. The thing with me for the Roosters and where I start to judge them now, for years now they should be literally that team that's like right up there. That whole stat about the Storm and Penrith, and they just can't get them done. Like, I have the Roosters now on that level, and the fact that they just can't get it done, and they just don't get it done time and time again. I think they said like they've won 4 in the last freaking hell. I don't know how many. What is it? 30 odd games. Like that's stupid. I can't. Don't get me wrong. They've had some good performances this year. They'll beat majority of teams in this competition. Don't get me wrong, but. There's something just grabbing me about him, just going like, I want to grab him and just shake him and like, do you guys realize what you could be doing at the moment? And it just feels like, I know it's weird because they're sitting third. I don't know. Help me out. I don't know with them.
I don't know. It's almost sort of a little bit like the Sharks in some regards. In like, I just don't feel like there's enough mongrel in that team when they should have it there. You got guys like Nafahu and Lindsay Collins, obviously Spencer Linu, but the team that they have so far this season, that we should have already seen them put some teams to the sword massively. And they haven't always been convincing. I think I tipped them for the minor premiers at the start of the year on paper because it's just, who they were going to have. And I know they've had some ins and outs, and guys like Marky Mark and now Toops are out, which makes a big difference to certain things. But, all in all, they got a really solid team on paper, generally speaking, and they should be probably even a little bit further ahead than where they are now, which might sound silly, but they are still third. But, they should probably be pushing for that minor premiership, I would say. So, yeah, I don't know. I just don't know if, we still haven't really seen a really polished 80 minutes from them. I don't know, maybe it's a blessing in disguise for the fact that I think we've seen them play much better footy throughout the year by the time they get to finals and they finally lose. Anyway, maybe is this the year where they don't look convincing all year. They sort of string some wins together, finish in the top 4, and then actually finally produce when it matters. I don't know, but there's just something about them still. Just I don't think that Sammy and DC have really figured it out just quite right yet.
Still a bit of a tug of war, it feels like.
I don't know. There's still something with me now. Like I said, I tipped them to be the minor premiers before the season started, but there's just something about them, and I don't know what it is that you get that same feeling, I guess, that they're just not going to do it when they need to do it most.
Yeah. For player that's impressed so far this year, James Tedesco, I think, is a pretty valid option here. He's got himself back into the Blues jersey, been extremely busy all year, being one of their best. Like we just spoke about, the halves haven't quite clicked still, but James Tedesco's been that guy that's been the consistent one out of everyone in that spine, I feel like. And yeah, I think James Tedesco. What about you, Hempo?
I'm going to go Reece Robson. Probably could have gone a few others as well, but I think he's been great since he's been back. New club, new game style, new playbook to sort of learn. I think he's been brilliant, and if they're going to go deep, he'll have to be playing well. So that's mine.
Player that needs to improve, I've actually gone Angus Crichton. I've actually been a little bit disappointed with him so far this year. I know he's signed to go different code next year, and has lost his Origin jersey. I know some might look at that and go, oh, that's because he's going next year. He's not in the plans. I actually just think it's purely down to form. I don't think he's been that great. Potentially that's hurt him, the tug of war that's been happening with the halves and the like. I'm not too sure. But, yeah, just a little bit missing from Crichton this year. I have been a little bit disappointed. And for sure, if they want to get to that level where they can beat the Panthers and the Storm consistently, and in the big games towards the back end of the year, they need a fit and firing Angus Crichton, a peak Angus Crichton to be doing that. So, bit of pressure on him to get back to that, I think, and leave a lasting impression with the Roosters. Hampo?
I reckon he's just wondering what position he's going to play in the Rugby World Cup when he walks into the Wallabies team. Anyway, look, I still don't think we've seen enough from Cherry. All things considered, the signing that he was meant to be for them around it, bring him a premiership. I still just, I feel like he just doesn't deliver at times for him. I don't know if maybe it's a bit harsh, and he can. Maybe I'm being really critical of DCE, but I just thought he'd be seeing a little bit more from him by this point. I don't think he fits well into that Roosters system. Not on the right side of the field, anyway. I don't know. Maybe it's a crazy thing to say, but it's just, I don't know. He's not doing it for me this year.
You and crazy, mate. That goes hand in hand. I know what you're saying though, and I definitely agree with it. Contenders or pretenders for the Sydney Roosters? I am going to go for this. They're contenders because they'll make the 8, but I actually think they're pretenders in terms of I don't think they can win the comp. While they've got that record that they do, they're going to have to beat Penrith at some stage in the finals, and they're not going to be able to beat them. So for mine, they're pretenders for winning the comp, but they're contenders in terms of they'll make the 8. Hampo?
Mate, I still got them as obviously contenders, but if ever we're going to see a team beat a Panthers in a prelim, it's going to be this year with this new shit that we're seeing on field. So, maybe is it a team like the Roosters? Maybe. I don't know. I hear what you're saying, but it just gives me that weird funny. Rugby league's a funny game, isn't it? If the Dragons can beat the fucking Broncos at Suncorp after losing 10 straight, you can't rule anything out ever. So.
The New Zealand Warriors are sitting in second. 12. They've played 12 points, 20. They've won 9 games. They've lost 3. Won by 368 points for, 214 against. Sitting on 154 points differential. Mate, the Warriors are going strong. They are looking a very, very good football team. A strong forward pack. Great halves. Doesn't matter who it is at the moment. It feels like Lukey Matt's obviously Gornsky's not part of things moving forward. Very clearly that, even though he's there at the moment. It was Boyd doing a remarkable job until he got, unfortunately, the ACL. Now Tamari Martin's doing some fantastic things. Chanel's been going about his trade very, very nicely there in the 6. Their fullback, I think, is Tane Tuaupiki moving forward. Hopefully they just go all in with him. I think the guy is a remarkable talent. They've got stupid depth in the backs. Like, they've just lost Roger Tuivasa-Sheck for the season, and it's hardly made anyone blink because you then look at the side they've still got and the depth that they've still got. They can have another 2 or 3 injuries in the backline and still field a very strong backline that will probably be worrying and beat majority of the competition. It's just been a massive start to the year. We went to, obviously, Magic Ground. You watch them live. They feel like they're so much bigger than any other team in the comp, just all over the park. They're giants. It's just they're back. They're back with the Warriors of old. They're defending well. They're tough. They're bashing people up. Go back to that Melbourne Storm game where they just absolutely destroyed them by beating them up, literally on the field. This is the Penrith Panthers competition to lose, in my opinion, but the Warriors are so close to them, it's not funny. And I think that after on the weekend, I know both teams had players out. I think, and Skip mentioned it, they've worried a lot of Penrith Panthers fans who came in before probably on the weekend and thought, we're going to shit this competition in. They're still the better team. I'll still say that. But the Warriors have closed the gap from the start of this year to now so much that credit where it's due, mate. They are a very, very good football side.
100%, mate. You can't deny them. I think, what are they? Technically the second best attacking team and second best defensive team as of right now at this point in the season. And yeah, you're spot on. Like, how can you deny anything about that Warriors team? I think the one thing that's sort of stood out for me is they're just physically imposing themselves on like that game against the Storm down in Melbourne a month or so ago, whenever it was. Like, they bash them, and then getting to watch them live at Magic Ground, they hit and they hit hard. And I'll be honest, like, I don't really think that they're probably going to get taken out of context, but I do think their 1-7 still like a little bit questionable on paper anyway. Like they're certainly playing well this year, but I think if they've got some areas of concern, it's probably more in the backs than anything. But that forward pack is just whatever the back line may lack. It's probably countered by the fact the forward pack is just so dominant. They're just the way they're not only just bashing teams in attack and defense, but just the short ball playing, the way that guys like Ford and Clark are sort of linking up together, and Fisher's scoring tries, and man, they're just awesome. They're really going to be deep and causing some issues at the end of the year. I can't wait to see them come finals. Up the wires, the movement's back.
You know what I find the most remarkable thing out of all this, and any other team, if they lost their first choice halfback, if they lost their second choice halfback, and they're onto their third choice halfback from the start of the year, you would laugh and go, that team's unfortunately just missed the 8, and they'll probably be a bottom 4 side. They look like they're getting better, and they're just, whoever comes in, it's literally like the definition of next man up mentality, and they've perfected it.
100%, and that would be my biggest area of concern for them, is the fact that they're now going to have to run to Marty Martin, who, you could argue is still certainly a first-grade caliber halfback, but at what point does it become an issue of the quality you've got in that back line? So, yeah, at the moment they're humming. They're playing really well off the back of that forward pack, but are they going to be able to do that all year, I guess, is the big question.
Who's impressed you?
Yeah, mate, I think it's really hard. It's probably low-hanging fruit and easy to pick him, but I will, because you got Twal and a couple others off me. I'll go Jackson Ford, right? Like, he's been phenomenal, mate. He's been the best forward in the comp for mine, bar none. Certainly of the guts in the middle there. His work rate is immense. He can score tries. He'll play 80 minutes if you need him to. I don't know how he didn't get a sky blue jersey, but he had huge raps on him coming through as well, mate. He was a guy that at St. George, he was in that St. George system, knew about him coming through, and they never really come to fruition, but I don't know what has happened, because he was there obviously last year as well, maybe a little bit before that, but he's just gone to another level. He's unbelievable, isn't he?
He definitely is, and I'm with you. He's just what a freak. It's just purely nothing but disrespectful that he didn't make the Origin side. That's pathetic in my eyes. His form has warranted it. Probably, arguably, the best forward in the game consistently this year. You could say that he's just been, what a talent he's been. Player that needs to improve.
Yeah, I still am not seeing it at times from probably Chanel, I reckon. I don't know. He seems to be there's a lot of people that are fans of Chanel, and I guess he's coming back from injury a little bit as well. But I don't know. I'm still not convinced. Probably by the halves in particular. I just don't know if that halves combination is the one that can win the comp.
You're a Waz hater. You're a Waz hater, mate. A lot of your comments, you've been hating them.
No, look,
lock your front door.
I welcome probably the 10 billion of the fans that will just spray me about it and tell me why I'm incorrect. But do you honestly think Tamari Martin and Chanel Harris-Tavita can be premiership winning halves combination? I don't know.
At the moment, yes. Just because of what they're doing, like as a club. It sounds crazy. Like even you go one step further to say, then you add Tuapiki at fullback into Wade Egan at hooker. Can that be a premiership winning spine? And just because of what they're doing, I say yes. I don't know why. It's weird. I don't know.
I want to see it for the Wars, so I don't want to shit can it too hard, because I'd love to see the Wars win a comp. But I'm still not convinced by probably the halves still.
I've got a guy that probably still gives you nightmares. Leka the Wrecker Halasima. I actually don't think he's been that great this year. And that's another Arsenal up the sleeve of the Warriors. Now they've got this guy who hasn't been probably, I don't know what it is on. He's just been in and out of the side, off the bench, starting, things like that. Even when he's on the field, hasn't been doing a whole lot. He looks like he's still got a couple of years to get to when they're doing what they're doing at the moment. So to have that, I think if he can improve in the back end, he can take the Warriors to another level. Contenders or pretenders, mate?
Oh, contenders, absolutely. They'll be certainly there. If they don't make a prelim, I think it's a failure on their season at this point.
I've gone contenders, and I reckon they'll go as far as making the big dance. I'll tell you that one right now. Last one, the Penrith Panthers. What a one it's been. Sitting first, they've been first basically since our ball got kicked off this year. They've played 12. They're on 24 points, 4 points clear of the Warriors. Two wins clear as well. They're on 11 wins, only one loss this year, and by 369 points for. They're the best attacking team in the comp. Points against is 164. They're the best defensive team in the comp. Points differential 205. Holy shit, mate. I don't know what to say about them. Just the fact that they are honestly have been for a lot of this year head and shoulders above the rest of the competition. Like I said, personally, I think the Warriors have closed that gap now, which is a huge credit to them. But from a Warriors point of view, they've been so good all year. Yeah, they're probably in a little bit of a lull at the moment, but the fact they're still winning games just shows you what this club is all about. They've flexed their muscles to start the year and showed you what they can do on their day, and I'm expecting that Panthers to come back once they get over the origin period that we always see. Ivan's very similar to Wayne, where he basically just wants to get the club through this period, navigate, hopefully, with limit the injuries and the risk. Their depth, once again, anyone that comes into this side this year has just done the job. It's been so good. They're a freakish organisation, mate. I am in awe of everything that this club does on a daily basis. Now it's gotten to. They're the premiers in my eyes.
No, it's hard to argue, isn't it? I think you look at what happened on the weekend. They just played the Wars, who are the second place team and their next biggest threat in the comp by far, and beat them without their starting halfback, their starting lock. Brian, Cleary, Yo, and Bizza all didn't play, and they played one of the best games of the season against the Wars and won it. So the fact that they're still doing stuff like that, and again against the Wars, who they were pretty much full strength based on what they are now, right? Excluding obviously Tanner Boyd and Lukey Metcalf not being there, I think they were all but full strength. So
no Cody Capewell.
Oh, sorry, no Capewell. Yeah, but yeah, mate. How can you deny anything? They're the best defensive team in the comp by miles. The way they started the season was huge, and they're obviously trying to make amends for what happened last year and the poor start that they had. But the way they still got 2 buys in hand. They got to play the Titans. No offense to you, but the Eel. There's a few teams there that they aren't playing like high caliber teams for the next couple of months as well. And then they run home. They're sort of staying in Sydney pretty much for the whole last month of the comp. They've got to go to Melbourne in Amy Park in round 25. Apart from that, they're at CommBank. So, yeah, I think it's all building nicely. As I said to you, though, I guess, you can't really – there's not too many chinks in the armour. But if ever we're going to see a year where the team we expect not to win the comp, not win the comp, I think it's going to be this year. So, yeah, I think this will be the biggest test. Can they hold on? There's all these other things happening in the comp with changes and rules and people thinking the game's changed. Well, they're sort of trying to prove that wrong, aren't they? Can they still do what they've done for the last 5 years and then do it again? I think they can.
Do you reckon they went too early?
As in
their form? They started on fire this year.
Yeah, I do. It's just never sustainable. But I think Ivan, they're so experienced, that coaching staff and all that know now, I guess what they need to do to get them right at the right time of the year. And they started red hot, and they're probably hoping to do that to sort of probably make them feel like they made amends for what happened last year and the way they went out. They sort of proved, yeah, we can do it. It's possible that Ivan's even just told them to take the foot off a little bit. And there's every chance, he's the ultimate sort of coach in that regard with the way he sort of gets his team up and the way he is with them. So, yeah, I think they'll get them right at the right time of year. I thought it wasn't sustainable, and I don't think we've seen that it is, even though they've still won games. But I don't think it's going to be an issue for them at the back end.
They learned from last year. They've made a huge statement. They've frightened the shit out of the rest of the competition. That's for sure. They're doing remarkable things. For me, the player that has impressed me the most, I think he's on a Dally-M run. Nathan Cleary is clear as day. The best player in this competition at the moment. The world's his oyster. He's just doing some freakish things on the field. I do think he's in for a Dally-M year as well. So Nathan Cleary is, for mine, impressed me the most, not just from Penrith's point of view, but probably the competition as well, with Jackson Ford second.
Yeah, mate. Easy one. I think I'll go his little bald mate at the back though, Dill Edwards. And Ivan. When Nathan hasn't been there, he really stepped up, and he did on the weekend. And I reckon if Nathan Cleary misses, doesn't win the Dally M this year, it will be because he's lost it to Dylan Edwards. That's my hot take.
You and Skip have been talking because he would have hosted up the other day about that. So
no, I didn't. I didn't actually know he'd done that either.
Oh no, he did. He actually said that Edwards could be.
There you go. I had no idea he did that post, but I think if Cleary doesn't win the Dally M this year, it'll be Dylan Edwards.
Player that needs to improve. I've broken the rules here. I know you've already had one this episode, so I'm going to have one as well. I have put an NA next to it because I cannot sit here and look at this side who has been so good to start the year and say any player needs to improve. They're all doing a fantastic job. They're playing the team game. They're all playing their part. I got nothing.
Yeah, I guess it's hard to be critical. What do you say about a team that's so dominant? I don't know. I probably would have said Bizzler about a month ago, but he's even turned a bit of a corner, hasn't he? Like, I just don't.
Yeah, I was looking at him, but then I thought he's still getting the work done and stuff. So I have.
He's still running for 150, 200 meters every week, so it's probably a bit critical. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe if they need to figure out what they're doing on that right edge, is it? Martin's edge. They're playing Garner there and doing bits and different pieces, but I've been nitpicky now just for the sake of it.
NA for you as well. And then obviously contenders. I think they'll win the comp, so there you go.
Yeah, another going out on our limbs there by just picking that.
All right, we have been a very big episode, but rapid fire. Let's get through these best bets very, very quickly, guys. Appreciate you all staying there, and I appreciate Hampo staying up till midnight basically to get this done. Best bets for round 14. So obviously, thanks to bets.com.au and thank you to Betr for letting us use their odds as well as affiliate codes down the bottom, guys. So if you can and you haven't yet, go and join, help us, support us, and support those that sponsor the page and help get this content out to you guys. What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Now, let's go back to last week. A bit of a shit week, to be honest with you. Not much landed at all. Unfortunately, though, there was one that landed, and it was Hampo, and he started the week well. He got the Sharkies 1-12, $3.15, moves his total up to $103.99, so he's doing well. He's opened the gap to just under $40 at the moment, so a little bit in it. I'm holding a bit of faith, though. I think that just means one big week, and I have put a couple of decent bets in this week. I can quickly close that gap and make it entertaining for everyone and get that beard looking blonde on Hampo's face.
What odds do you reckon you're paying to win it from here now that about the halfway point? What would you put yourself at head-to-head?
I'd love, if anyone is still watching, put a comment in and let us know what you think as well, what the odds for me would be. I would go out and say I'd be at $51.
Head-to-head?
Actually, sorry, no, yeah, that's right. It's head-to-head. I had a feeling Skip was part of it for some reason. 2-horse race is about halfway through the season done. You've got $40 on me. I'm going to say $15.
You reckon that far out?
I reckon I'm that much.
Yeah, I would have probably had you like 4s or 5s maybe, but
the Dragons beating the Broncos on the weekend was more likely to happen, which it happened. So. What would you give me? $4?
Well, I'm just thinking we're halfway. I've not. What, you've made 60 so far and you're 40 behind.
You know what pisses me off? I've got a creator which people have seen. We're doing it through Betr at the moment. A content creator one. We're up against other creators and stuff, and I'm repping the League of Interest brand so well in that. Let me just quickly bring up. I'm winning it. I'm actually winning it.
Oh, there you go.
My own personal bets, and this is where I'm just doing a few more actually out there sort of bets and stuff, which seems to just be working. I'm on $120.
Oh, there you go. You just start tipping a bit more like that. Just a couple of your tips from there.
Honestly. Anyway, let's go. Good luck, mate. You're doing well. Let's hope it just starts running out and we can make this a contest. Manly against the Bunnies. I'm going a Manly win. And we spoke about him when we did the Manly review. Benny Trbojevic has been doing some silly things this year. He's been in some very good form. I actually think he can score, and at $4 odds, give that to me. So Ben Trbojevic, anytime try scorer, $4. Hampo?
That's funny. I actually had Burbo in my thing anytime, $4. I thought it was a bit boring. So I'm going the Eagles, but I've gone Burbo and my mate, who I'm going to bet on him every week until he gets one. I'll David Fafita's back. Burbo and Fafita, both anytime, $16. Thank you very much.
Here we go. End of the year, Fafita's on a nudie run, and Hampo's gone. You fucking Storm against the Knights. What do you got here?
Go on, me boys. I think we're still the real deal, and we'll show it on the weekend. And my best bet, we're just too much value at $2.25 head to head.
Just that it? Let's do it. Storm for me. And I've gone a same game multi Storm 1-12 with a match points over 48.5, $6.25. I think there'll be a bit of points in this. I think even though the Knights will lose, they can score some points. I think it'll be a high scoring, one of those higher scoring games with both teams scoring some decent points there. Raiders against the Roosters. Geez, it's a hard place to go and play a football game in this time of year, mate. It's freezing. You can't feel your fingers. Ugly time to be going over there. I've actually tipping the Raiders in this one. This might be the last time I tip them. That little lime green glasses again. And I've gone my best bet purely off the value side of that because I'm tipping the Raiders. Raiders 1-12 at $3.70. Hampo?
Not bad. I'm not going to go the Raiders in this one. I think the Roosters, if they're the real deal, they win this game. So I'm on the Roosters. My best bet for this one, I'm keeping it. Trying to keep it relatively simple. Big Wonga. Big Siwa Wong anytime. $4.50. A bit of juice. So just on that.
My thing is no one likes a frozen chook. No one likes cold chicken. So I just don't think they'll like the Canberra cold.
Fair enough.
Cowboys against the Dolphins. I tell you what, there's a couple of exciting, high attacking games, I think, coming up on this Saturday fixtures, and they're featuring the Queensland Derbies, actually. So what do you got in this one?
Go on the Finns. Just can't tip against them in that one. And then I've just gone pretty vanilla again, trying to extend this lead a bit. Lemuelu anytime, $3.75.
Yeah, I've gone the Dolphins as well. I've got one of my out there ones this week. So I've gone a same game multi. I think there'll be some points scored in this. So I've gone Hammer into Herbie, into Helam Lukey, into Tommy Chester. Anytime try scorers. That'll get you at the moment $26. So
Juice.
Taking that one, that could be the one that gets me right back into things. I think I'll be watching that one very closely, and I think Hamber will be sitting there in his lounge watching that, sweating his ass off as soon as, especially in the first half, 3 of those try scorers crash over. Broncos versus the Titans, big brother against little brother. I will be going the Broncos, and my same game multi is Reece Walsh 2+ tries into Tony Staggs anytime try scorer, $7.75. Hambo?
Interesting. I'm on the Bronx as well. Same game multi will be the Broncos head to head. My old mate Stags and young Ollie Pascoe anytime, $19.
Oh, piss off. Piss off.
Pascoe's $5 anytime, so he just blows it up.
Yeah, I like that. Now I'll be watching that one sweating after you sweating the other one. Tigers against the Panthers to round out. No, hang on. No, they're Saturday night, aren't they? I don't even know. Panthers for sure in this one. I think the Twilight is a big loss for the Tigers, actually, especially no Dewey yet either. Panthers to win this one, though. I think Tigers can be somewhat respectable. 13 plus didn't have much odds, so I went into one of those a bit more in detail margins. I've gone Penrith 11 to 20 points to win in between that margin, $3.90. Ampo?
Yeah, good value, but I reckon not a bad shout. I'm going the Panthers as well, mate. Just keeping it simple at this point. I've just found a bit of value this week. I don't know if this is really value. I'm going Yowie, big Yowie anytime, $7.50.
Shit. Okay.
Just a bit of vulnerability through the middle, I reckon. He loves it. He loves a little sneak, old Yowie.
Sharkies against the Dragons. Another, fuck me, there's a few derby games this weekend. This is like a rivalry ground, and they haven't even advertised it. So, Sharks versus Dragons. What do you got in this one?
I got on the Sharkies, I think. I still don't. I think I can confidently tip the Dragons, even though they were a lot better last week. And my best bet's just a simple AFB ATS, $5 anytime try scorer.
I'm going the Sharkies, but I feel a little bit yuck tipping them. I'm not that confident in the Sharkies this week, actually. So in saying that, I've gone with my betting side of things. I've gone the Dragons I made my own line. I upped it by 1 point. So I've gone 12.5 line for the Dragons, and I've gone a Val Holmes anytime try scorer. Now with the news that Shibasaki is out, I think Val Holmes can potentially push for that bench sort of role for the Maroons. So he'll be looking to go back-to-back good games. $3.60 for that there. I'll take that one.
Not bad.
Finally, the Bulldogs against the Parramatta Eels. Could be a dog's breakfast this game. I'll be absolutely brutally honest here. Both teams aren't doing too well. In a rivalry game though, I've got to tip my boys. I'll be going in for them. Might regret that. And betting wise, Eels 1 to 12 at $4.15. I really like that because if we do win, I don't see us putting on a heap of points against the Doggies. So I think 1 to 12 could work. So $4.15. Give me those odds, Hampo.
Mate, I was all over it. I did the exact same best bet.
Hey.
I think there's value there. I still don't like the dog. I think I'll tip the Dogs, as crazy as this sounds, because I do want to get my tip right.
Well, Carras and Crichton are potentially out of NRL 360.
Well, I mean, and that'd be huge, wouldn't it? But I still think there's just great value in the Eels 1 to 12 at $4.15 as well. So that sort of cancels itself out, doesn't it?
Who'd you tip?
I'm gonna. Sound like a fucking idiot saying I'm going to tip the Dogs and then go the Eels 1 to 12. I think common sense will prevail and I'll tip the Dogs, but I'll hedge me bets.
My Hail Mary this week. So I've gone 2 fullbacks who I think are up against some teams that aren't doing too well to score doubles. So I've gone Suafa'alongo for the Storm to actually, I should say the Knights are doing actually very well. I don't know what I've said there, but I think Suafa'alongo can light it up. I'm waiting for it. I think I'm holding him Supercoach wise as well. So I think he can score 2+ tries. And I think Isaiah Iongi can come back, score 2+ tries against the Dogs team that looks like they're just a bit all over the shop. So putting them both together, $25.50. I'll take that one.
Not bad. Sua will not get a single try, but anyway, I do have him in Supercoach though as well. But I've gone bit random with that Hail Mary because it was a bit of a last-ditch effort. I've gone some centres to be anytime try scorers, apparently. So I'm on Ruben Garrick with his old mate Ola back out there. Fletcher Hunt, he'll be on the left for this week. And Bobby Toyart, all anytime paying $14.06.
Oh, not bad. Thank you very much. So what's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Holy shit, it's been a big one. If you're still with us, thank you very, very much. Hope you've appreciated this one in depth, talking to all teams. Bit of assets in there as well. We didn't get time to get to Pack Lords. I need to let Hambo go. He needs to get to work. He needs to organise some shit. So we'll bring that back next week. So we've had a week or two off, and then we'll bring it back next week when we're back to normal. So just a little break from there. But follow us in with all these best bets as well. If you haven't joined the Legends Group yet, we've got a heap of a betting chat exclusive in there as well. So if you do like that side of things, go and join that. Supercoach news and in-depth stats there as well. Don't forget about the LOI raffles as well. I'll put a little link to that in the notes below. Free to join. Just go in and buy tickets for whatever prizes you want to win. Hampo, mate, thank you very much. And everyone out there, like, subscribe, all that jazz as well, please. Helps us out dramatically. It's a free way of supporting the page as well. Thanks, Hampo. It's been a huge one. I fucking appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Just tip the Knights next time, you dog.
Oh, mate, I'm rooted. Let's go. Goodbye. Thank you.
Catches.